Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Getting ready here in Vegas. Let's go.
Williams has got it, calls for a ball screen, comes left, throws right, over to Hoiberg, back to Williams, back to Hoiberg, back to Williams on the left side, shoots a long three, got it, nothing but net for Williams. Euless playing point, gets it into Bryce Williams, pump fake baseline right. He's in the paint, off 2 feet, jump shot, got it. He got it from about 18 feet away. Towards down ball, Malik drives down the lane line, no good. And the rebound by Euless. Now the Huskers running. This is where they look so good on Monday. And in transition, the splash 0-3 by Esijan. Juwan Gary yet to score in this game. And now Esijan with a drive and the take all the way in. And the layup with the left hand, good. Sam Hoiberg goes one way, now the other. Up top, Gary shoots up a three. Got it! Nothing but net.
Good morning. Welcome into Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Centris Federal Credit Union. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. What's up, DB?
Well, how are we doing?
I'm a little concerned for our guy Kent.
Why?
He sounded a little subdued on some of those calls.
Well, this dude is going to be in Vegas for a week.
So that's what
I mean, come on.
I was gonna ask. I mean, we love Kent. He's very energetic. He's not the youngest guy in the world.
Energetic.
I think I have some audio of him talking about him being there.
What's that?
Back.
Yeah, I feel you.
It seems like that's a long time for him to be in Vegas.
KP and Envy.
Might be getting the best of him. The Sin City.
No, we're trying to make it.
You know,
I just
we out here, right?
one day at a time. You know, it's more than just a television show. Although,
Wait, is One Day at a Time a television show?
yeah, KP has some Schneider to him, doesn't he, Shane? Kind of funny, that dry sense of humor, a little gruff.
I mean,
Yeah, okay.
good contribution.
Back to back turnovers for the row here in Las Vegas.
That's my man, Flaky Jake.
Oh, I'm glad that
I like Jake. I think Jake is low key funny.
I'm glad that this isn't another one of the shows that I missed on yesterday.
Yeah, it was more your genre. Although the same time frame as the show that you completely blew last week, which was Good Times, on about the same time.
Yeah, I didn't see this one, but I didn't want another.
Are you familiar with Valerie Bertinelli?
I know who that is. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if I could tell you.
Do you know her for just cooking?
I know the name more than anything.
Okay.
I don't know if I could tell you anything she's been in.
All right. Good word association to start the morning.
But I know that is a person.
Good morning to all your swimmers in the stream. Islands in the stream.
We got swimmers?
Yes, we have
Well,
Kobe. We
some
have
of us don't.
KP. I do. Oh, we have a newbie, unless he changed his name. Crypto King.
Oh, we got Crypto King in here.
Yeah, I don't know why he went with the K for crypto. It's giving me the heebie-jeebies a little.
Maybe it's like a Krypton. Maybe he's a Superman fan.
Oh, like the
Kryptonite.
dog?
Yeah. Maybe he's the king of the
Superman's
Superman
dog's name was Crypto.
Yeah, so maybe he's a fan of the comic book or
Big
the TV
Marvel
series.
guy?
That's DC, my guy.
Oh, that's right.
Come on, that's a bad miss.
No, I know too, because
You're a big DC guy.
Yeah, I'm way DC over Marvel.
You're like D. Marinas.
Yeah, that's where we first bonded quietly.
Yeah.
It was like it was this secret rendezvous over Aquaman.
Very small island.
Literally. He
DC's
said something good about Aquaman like 10 years ago.
Yeah. No, Aquaman's a good movie.
And I was like, it wasn't even so much the movie, it was the character.
Yeah.
And I was like, who talks about Aquaman?
D. Marinas does.
Okay, Maddie.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Aquaman is a sneaky good character.
So then
Yeah, it is.
I immediately said to Shane,
Mhm.
he needs to co-host. We need to get him in.
D. Marinas is the best.
Dude.
I love that dude.
Yeah. So we bonded over Aquaman.
You know my history with D. Marinas, don't you?
No.
So I met Matt before
Comics?
before
Were you
comics,
guys at Dragon's Lair?
before
Were you at Krypton?
before I started doing any of this on air or anything.
Siskel and Ebert?
No, he
You
was
bumped into him having popcorn watching a movie.
he was my ex-wife's maid of honor's boyfriend when we got married. So he was at my first wedding.
Oh, so he's seen
He's seen the good and the bad.
everything.
Yeah.
Everything. Everything.
And then I just rolled up to Creighton Presser one day, and he's like, "Hey, I know you." And I was like, "Do we?"
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I was dating so and so, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's you.
Wow.
Yeah, so we go way back. Our
Um,
friendship has outlasted both those relationships.
I'm trying to this is horrible.
Yeah.
I don't exactly remember everybody in my first wedding party. I'm pretty sure. Dumas,
I have a pretty good idea.
Veland, Noddle, Mark Robinson was there. My brother.
I don't think Levante was there, bud.
I don't think Levante was. He was born. Yeah, he was born.
Yeah, he's not that young.
That was 02.
Yeah, but he
01.
played in like
No, I know.
2010. So he'd have been
No,
like
I'm with you.
he'd have been like 14.
It's too early to be cracking you with that C4.
It's open.
Which,
You can't-
by the way,
yeah,
I do admire your taste in the Gator Light.
dude, the orange one's good.
So I'm on the yellow.
The yellow one's good. I like the yellow.
No, citrus.
Oh,
So like
yeah.
the marigold. It's not marigold.
mango.
I told you the flavor. I'm trying to tell you the color.
Oh, gotcha.
Remember who I am. It's about the color.
It's old DB.
Is it purple? Isn't that mango? Isn't that purplish?
I don't know if he meant to be.
That was so easy. Why would you laugh at that?
because I didn't think he was gonna make it. It's not the joke. It's that he said it. I did not expect Shano to make a purple drink joke.
It's whatever. It's like the citrus yellow, so it's a little darker.
Yeah. No, I like citrus flavors a lot. That's typically my go-to on stuff.
It used to be my favorite regular Gatorade, then it became fairly hard to find.
So I get like multi-packs that has the yellow in it, and that's definitely my favorite.
I don't mean true yellow, like lemon lime.
Oh yeah, the marigold.
Is that's a color? I want to say that.
Flower it's probably also a color.
I'm pretty sure it's citrus.
We're gonna look it up.
No, because what's going to happen is we're going to go down a rabbit hole, and then Austin's going to be like,
Well,
It takes you guys 10 minutes to talk sports, and I want to tell AJ, I'm like, look, man, it's probably longer than 10 minutes.
marigold color is a vibrant, warm shade of yellow orange. So that's right where you're talking about.
Yep, that's
Right on
what.
the money.
Do you know what I'm talking about? The citrus flavor.
Sounds purple to
Yeah.
me. If you mix the two together,
Jeez.
It was the source on that. I didn't expect him to make a purple.
Right. I mean, anytime somebody else gets to make an innuendo over race, it's it's funny.
Usually it's
Ambiguous, dude.
Me. It's usually me. So for it to come from Shano, that was unexpected.
Yeah, you're horrible.
Who, me?
Yes.
You were making a lot of jokes in the chat about me yesterday.
I just thought it was funny the
It's a little-
scenes that you gravitated towards.
That's a funny scene.
I just don't know that many people that talk openly about a Klan rally being funny.
I need context here. You can't just throw out.
That's exactly what happened.
In,
You're like, haha, funny. The Klan scene. It was hilarious.
in Bad Boys 2, okay? We got to set the stage here because otherwise it sounds real awkward. In Bad Boys 2,
Sounds about how it went.
there is a very funny scene in which Martin Lawrence and Will Smith break up a Klan rally.
Uh-huh.
It is amusing.
Yeah.
And they're breaking up a Klan rally, which I'm a fan of. Let's break up the Klan rally.
So there was a stretch there for about 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Where have you seen Revenge of the Nerds?
Oh, yeah.
All I could think of was Ogre when he was on the sidewalk and he goes, nerds. You guys
When me and
spent a
Maddie-
full 10 minutes breaking down every scene. I'm like,
From Bad Boys 2.
even I don't have that kind of recall. And I can easily go into character.
Oh, yeah.
That was incredible.
So I love that movie. Like it's low key one of
How
my.
did you confuse Mike and Craig a couple of weeks ago with the Bad Boys characters?
So I don't know the characters' names that well.
Which
Like,
is
I know Mike
weird for how
Lowry.
you went into.
I love the movie, and I could
You guys were quoting lines.
I could go like scene for scene in that movie. I've seen it so many times. For some reason, the character names outside of Will Smith's Mike Lowry,
Yeah.
Lowry, whatever how you say it,
Lowry.
Lowry.
What the?
like Hugh Laurie, his house. Similar guys. They have goatees, both of them.
Okay.
because I'm Mike Lowry.
Well, talk about going into character. Damn.
This dude is really. Shane, did you get a good night's sleep?
I don't even know what the FCS is.
You feel better after that talk we had the other day, don't you?
Purple.
No big deal.
You got purple drink and Mike Lowry.
I had that dude on the black couch. Were you uncomfortable listening to us?
No.
I was just fact finding.
Yeah.
It's my little dude,
No,
man.
I
I
was
got to make sure
interested.
he's good.
I find Shane's life fascinating.
It is unbelievably cool.
Because he operates in a way that doesn't make sense to me, but it works for him.
Is it weird that I'm kind of low key jealous?
No, that makes sense.
I'm kind of low key jealous.
There's parts of your personality that I'm like, yeah, you would kind of vibe with that lifestyle.
Yeah,
I also think you would go crazy.
at some point.
Yeah.
But he makes it work.
Like, I think you would like it short term, and then it would get away from you, and you wouldn't realize it.
Shane, do you hoard, like, how do you cope? What's your coping mechanism? Is it cough syrup? Do you hoard liquor? You have to have some sort of outlet to your weirdness, don't you?
I really got to be careful on what I say about that.
My man goes to get the 2 for $4 hot dogs at Quick Trip or something.
Dude, gas station hot dogs are fire.
So it took me probably 25-ish years
Mhm.
of when not to go into gas stations. Anywhere from,
Like time of day?
oh yeah, anywhere from 10:45 to 12:15, keep it pushing.
At night?
No, bro, I don't go out with the street lights on
I don't know. Why 10:45, 12:15?
because people get lunch. And do you know
Oh.
what they do? They crush that station.
Yeah, they do.
I don't even know how they keep up.
Yeah. Listen, I'm here for some gas station food. It's pretty good.
You got all serious?
Listen. This is a serious topic.
Shay, would you like to tell Ravi about those rollers? Or no, maybe at a later date.
At a later date.
Oh, I know about the rollers.
Man, are you serious?
Yeah. But
So
here,
what's your go-to? Do you try a little of everything?
So honestly, my go-to is usually like the Casey's pizza's good.
Well, I don't think that's a hot take. I think a lot of people like Casey's.
Yeah, Casey's pizza's good. I started with the breakfast pizza back in the dark days when I was living in Ashland. And that's not an Ashland problem. It's other context.
Shout out Jacobson out here in the starting lineup.
37 minutes, baby. Let's go.
Did you see Luke's comment?
Yeah.
Nebraska's 2-0 when Bergen Riley's boyfriend plays 30 minutes.
So it took me a minute because
not enough
not enough sample
data.
size. Not enough sample size.
I thought it was funny.
I thought I did too. So I'll be honest. I processed through that like, wait, who's Bergen Riley dating? Like I didn't, because I just don't have that in the Rolodex off the top of my head.
Yeah.
And then
You TikTok, my guy.
I know it's my bad. That's how I found out that Baylor Shireman and Allie Batenhorst broke up. I hope you guys are doing okay. But long distance is hard, man. She's been in LA the whole year. He's in Boston now. It's tough.
Oh,
Anyway,
man.
and then I'm like, okay, so I figured out like, okay, it's Cale Jacobson. Guys, contextually, I was like, he probably is talking about Cale. And then I was mad for a second because he was serious about the Sam Hoiberg thing, and then I was like, okay, he's probably joking here. That's funny.
Yeah.
That's a funny joke.
Were you surprised? Well, if you listen to Husker Sports Nightly, you'd have got it.
Yeah.
But, that Cale was going to start.
No, I mean, I wasn't surprised because I had heard.
You know what do you think was the first thing I thought about when I'm watching him play?
What's that?
What did I ask you 2 months ago? 2.5 months ago.
So I'm gonna be honest with you. Our conversation.
This was in January, and I said,
my
does
recall
it
is not
seem-
as good as it is for Bad Boys 2.
I said it's kind of weird how, Coach Hoiberg he'll do what it takes to win the game. Like he's willing to push buttons.
Yeah, he'll like.
I
mess
said,
with
is
lineups
it
and stuff.
weird that there's a part of me that wonders what would happen if Jacobson played more?
You did say that.
Remember that?
Yeah, I do. I do remember that.
Well, thank you.
And he played 37 minutes. They beat Georgetown.
Now, you talk
37
about
might
something.
be.
You talk about something that needs context.
Yeah.
Yeah, this definitely isn't the heart of the Big Ten season in February,
And
right?
Georgetown's very bad.
This is
Like very bad.
wow,
Can I? So
wow.
I want to defend myself.
So
here for a
guys
second.
are just dropping off by the hour.
apparently. There's like
I wondered why the line ballooned. It just kept climbing and climbing.
and we're sitting here like, okay, 7.5 makes no sense. 8.5 makes less sense. 10.5. Is Cooley arrested somewhere in Vegas? Did he have a hangover situation? What's happening?
And then it's like,
And they covered.
Jacob had the funniest line, and I don't even think he was trying to be funny.
He's like, I don't recognize anybody out there besides Malik Mack.
Yeah. I don't know who any of
recognize
these guys are.
And if Jacob doesn't recognize who you are
Right?
are a nobody.
Right? Although sometimes I feel like we may give JP too much credit in his television watching.
Ooh, not when it comes to basketball, I don't think.
Well, so he's busy. He does a lot of things.
He is busy.
But
he's like you and doesn't sleep. He goes back and gets a lot of stuff.
yeah, but he'll sometimes sleep till 11 or 12.
Yeah, but it's because he doesn't go to bed till like 8 in the morning.
Well, it's even. We both get 4 hours. He ain't like me. Like I'm sleeping the day.
No, but he's like you in the fact that he's awake for 20 hours every day.
Yeah.
So he can go back and get some stuff. It's a different 20 hours, but like he's not sleeping much.
Yeah.
So I think he does go back and get stuff when he's off assignment.
So how did you split that with the debacle, if you're a Nebraska baseball fan, that was happening in Omaha real time?
So I'll be honest.
That's a good place to start.
Evan Porter's my guy, so I was rooting for Omaha.
No, so you know what? I'm okay.
You're an Omaha guy.
Real talk.
Yeah.
I was cool either way.
Yeah. I was actively rooting for Omaha because I like
know Nebraska is my alma mater. I love
I mean, you don't have to. You love the university.
Yeah,
Anybody who doesn't know that,
I ride with Nebraska, but
But you're an Omaha guy.
my first roots, not the
No, you know,
my first
like trees, roots.
my first love is in my household is Omaha.
You guys,
It just happens to coincide. Roots and jive just didn't seem to too early for that. Knock it off.
what's your favorite flavor of Gatorade? No, it's not mustard. It's marigold.
Yeah, that was
Same color ish.
that was
A little more translucent.
non-ethnic term. And it coincided with the same time that my family's had season tickets to Nebraska football since before I was born.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're going on at least 50 years.
Yeah.
But Omaha was always first.
Yeah.
So I felt like I was very split.
Sure. Yeah.
I was very happy for I don't know, everybody.
Yeah.
But I am. I mean, color me concerned about Nebraska.
Oh,
I don't know how
yeah.
I don't know how they snap out of it. I mean,
Everybody.
Dice comes back. My man Caleb Clark. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what this team is.
I mean, we're basically halfway through the season, right?
Yep.
And it hasn't gotten any better.
Yep.
So, like, there's
It kind of just is what it is.
yeah. So there's
Although I will say this, up until this week,
yeah,
well, actually, K-State was the first blip. They had been great in midweeks.
yeah.
That now they've got K-State, Creighton, and
So
Omaha.
here's my real concern is
Damn it! Can you get that off for me? I
Uh,
don't know what I hit.
yep,
Sasha fixed it the last time.
maybe.
Can you multitask and talk at the same
Nope,
time?
certainly cannot. I'll give
Wow,
you a second.
we got to get better at that.
I know, man. That's how I have a hard time Googling.
Is it?
I think so. Because if you're talking and I'm like, oh, I'll Google something, Google something, I'm pretty quick at it. But I'm still trying to
Oh,
ad-lib.
man, I could talk, text, type.
I know you're way better at multitasking than I am.
But do you know how many people I have to keep track of in my head?
Yeah, a lot.
4 at 4 minimum. At any time I'm thinking there's Timmy,
Yeah.
there's Mark, there's Leroy, and then there's the bad dude. And I got to like space them all
You're
out.
like, hey, you stay over there.
You know, sometimes I'll just talk and I'm like, I have to give thought to.
Which one's Leroy?
He's the middle. He's the middle right.
What's his personality like?
He's the guy that really will ask me about, do you really want to do this?
Okay.
Yeah.
What's Timmy do?
Timmy's Mr. Rational.
Okay. So
Yeah.
How in the
He's super pragmatic.
he's like me. He's your voice of reason.
So he's no. He
I thought you were just going over to slide right by that.
Timmy, who is who I roll with when you have hot sports takes.
You're like, whoa, Timmy,
Yeah.
your turn.
And I have to be
You're like, hey, we need the righty. Come here, Timmy.
I'm like, hey, don't go all in and crush this dude. That's a terrible take. But yeah, so we keep them all corralled.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I thought you meant like real people.
they are real.
We got to keep track of them too.
They are real.
Hey, what's the Harry Potter line? Just because it's all in your head doesn't mean it's not real.
I'm not a Harry Potter guy.
That's a good line though.
I need context. Was this Acuban or Acubazar or
No,
Hocus Pocus?
that's Azkaban.
Oh, Iskabibble.
That's fine.
No, so anyway, with baseball,
It's like that part of the world that you thought Aladdin was from, or you thought I was from, but it's actually Aladdin.
I feel like you're gonna kind of like the text conversation when I said what I said about hunting, and Jacob just made it seem like I was a closet serial killer. I'm not.
No, you're pretty open about it.
Selfish.
Process. Falling in love with the process.
Yeah.
Hunters like the process of hunting more than they probably actually like the kill.
Sure.
I like that. I'm not a killer.
Yeah. I believe you.
Okay, well, the awkward silence.
You're
like, no, you don't.
I think hunters just like being out in the wild.
We're out here. This is the field where the magic happens.
Some of them do. Some like one of our listeners, Kurt, was messaging me yesterday, and a lot of it he just likes seeing all the nature and stuff.
Me too.
Like there's a lot of stuff that you see that you just wouldn't see.
I told you about being out at Amber and John's.
Oh yeah, you're just watching off the back.
And I can't see a thing.
So you're listening.
It's dark.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to be able to, if I could feel where I could hear the there's owls, they were coyotes, or shoot, could have been wolves out there. I mean, they're practically in North Dakota.
They're up there.
You know how far north they are?
Oh yeah, you told me. That's why I couldn't believe you go hang out with them all the time.
It's a quick drive.
Yeah.
That's a quick drive.
I'll be honest. There's if you live outside of a certain radius from me, I'm probably not going to see you that much.
Yeah.
Unless you're like coming into my orbit.
I talked to Brett last night. I'm like, shoot, man, I need to come out there. I'll be at Central City tomorrow.
Yeah,
but I won't really.
You
I'll
love
be in.
You love Central City though.
I do actually.
That's like your jam.
It's same thing. It's very quiet.
Yeah.
But I'm not a country dude. You know what I mean? But I do like peace. I do like peace.
Hey, give peace a chance.
Or.
OAR.
I want peace. So anyway, at the same time, we're trying to multitask with what's going on with how bad that first half was. Because I know you were thinking, it's 38-24 at the half?
34-24.
And you're like, oh my God, this is terrible. But we kind of knew that. But it is amazing how back-to-back games, the second half actually seemed like real basketball.
Yeah.
Both games.
For Nebraska, at least.
Yeah. Well, Georgetown started to make some shots.
They did, but it's still.
I mean, it was mostly Mac and pull-ups from 30.
Even when Georgetown was making shots, they were still playing bad basketball.
Yeah.
Nebraska was playing a lot better basketball in the second half. They kind of found a rhythm and started looking like a real basketball team again. It's two first halves in a row, though, that they've looked atrocious.
Yeah, and at the same time, I'm watching the Dodgers lay an egg and figure out that TK is certifiable.
Why is that?
Oh, I'm not going to put him on blast, but Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, doesn't he seem like super measured and like a study head?
Yeah, but like there's a little bit of
No, he's classic crazy.
I'll say there's like a little vibe that I feel like there's like 10% crazy in there.
Yeah.
Like I think 90% of the time he's super measured.
That was the here, I'll just let you read one.
What did I tell you? I hung out with him like last week.
No.
Yeah,
Where were you guys?
He bought my reverse hyper, so he came up to grab it. Or his brother bought it.
Yeah.
And then we grabbed lunch real quick before he headed back out of town.
Oh, that's nice.
That dude's like a long haul trucker. He was driving all over the place.
Yeah, he gives 2 cares.
About driving.
No.
Yeah.
No, dude will just he must have an inordinate amount of free time.
He doesn't have class some days, like because he's almost done.
So start here and just read. Can you read and talk? Because I hate to give you anything during the show because the whole thing gets screwed up. And then Austin will be mad that he can't do the cut-ups correctly because although he should be asleep. This dude's doing interviews at 11 o'clock.
I know. He stays on it. He's grinding. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I felt like he had a particular affinity for Millard West. But then I was like, well, they do have some fellas that are good at baseball. Millard West has had a hero at the collegiate level, 3 different ones in the last week.
Yeah.
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 Good on him.
Yeah, if he does have a particular affinity for Millard West, we're gonna have to have a talk.
It's fine. I mean,
once they're in college, I'm cool.
Millard West isn't even Millard North's real rival.
I mean,
yeah, you guys hate the red school way more than you hate the green school.
No, for sure. Like when we were in high school, if there was
although linemen leaving have kind of enhanced that vitriol a little.
If there was gonna be a fight,
shout out Alan Burrell.
If there was gonna be a fight between all 3 schools, Millard North and Millard West would team up against Millard South.
Fight.
That's 100% what would happen.
A greenie and a white.
But if Millard South is not involved, it's not like we love Millard West. love.
They're good at baseball, though.
Once they're out of high school, though, they're all just Omaha guys. We're cool.
Read and talk at the same time. So what would you do on television with an IFB in your ear? Would you freak the heck out?
I would be bad.
Yeah. So there are sometimes
Yeah.
I'm on a call for a broadcast, and this young lady right here is talking in my ear.
Yeah.
Dead serious.
Yeah, no, you've told me that. I would struggle with that a lot.
Oh, man, I got practice.
I mean, I would have to practice a lot.
You know what you should have done?
What's that?
It's too old. You're too old. No, you're not too old. Although I feel like it's kind of like the Rosetta Stone. You probably had to do it early.
Yeah.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
I'm like, who are you?
He sounds like Evan.
No, he sounds like Aaron.
You should have seen the. Was Evan sending you his March Madness parlays?
No.
Oh man, I'll show you some text. Like that dude was just like on it.
He said third of the day.
Yeah, that's what Evan was doing.
Of the day.
Now for baseball, that's aggressive.
Love that.
I'm gonna be honest.
Oh, he has too much free time, my man.
That's the problem with that mobile gaming.
No, you have to practice. So what I used to do is, how sometimes it's annoying.
Mhm.
I get it, and I have to be better. I'll tell a story, I'll have a take or something, and then something will pop in my head, and I'll have to get that out first, and then I'll come immediately back and get the story.
Yeah.
Where that came from was practicing. I would play music in my ear, and I would talk to the mirror.
Mm.
And I would try to see how I sounded, and then I would just do it over and over and over again. So it doesn't really matter what you say to me.
Yeah.
So it's like I can catch a punt in front of 80,000 because I don't even hear them.
Yeah, you're just blocking it out.
Yeah. Now, if I wanted to, I could.
Yeah.
But I don't.
That's why you like the Kevin Costner clear the mechanism thing.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
A good pull. That's exactly what I love, because that's a real thing.
Yeah.
Like that's a real thing. When I need to dial in, you just dial in.
Clear everything out.
Yeah, and on that post when the safety came down, and meanwhile Jess could be saying, that's a good call. Knighton's got the guys over on the bench, and what he's saying, and I can hear her.
Mm-hmm.
And then later on, I can come back and use exactly what she said.
So that's where I don't have. Like, I can clear things out, but I won't process anything, the thing that I'm clearing out.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Like, I'll be able to keep talking, but I won't be able to go back and get what she said. Like, it'll be gone.
Yeah.
Because it just won't process at all.
Or she'll say, to your point about the DBs, they're over there with, and I'll store it.
Yeah.
And, Greg could hear me too, but he's just doing his thing, and you watch him and he's got 726 reads.
Yeah. And
he's doing the deal, and then Ben's up there pointing and sign languaging. Like, you just learn to, there's a lot going on other than two dudes just sitting there talking.
Yeah. I don't have that in the toolbox.
Yeah. That's a walk-off, by the way, in case you weren't sure.
By your favorite Dodger, right? No? Oh, I thought that was Shohei.
He's fine. He's fine.
You're
not going to.
I have a question for you about Shohei later.
Oh, that ought to be fun.
Got some questions.
I don't know what your problem is either. I'm going to need you to zip it the rest of this show. I don't really like what you're on this early.
Coming up on the show today, we got
purple drink.
We got Bird Coon, the head coach of the Omaha Supernovas,
Idiot.
Brian Edwards, our Vegas insider, Michael Bruntz, Husker 24/7, and the one and only Jessica Coody, Husker Sports Network, will join us at 9.
Are you going to guess why these two are up here today before we come back?
Ooh, I'll think about it during the break. More Hurrdat Sports Live coming up next.
Aspirations can drive us. Sometimes a simple gesture is what fuels the pursuit of a dream. When it's time to make your dream a reality, we are here to help. Centris Federal Credit Union. We are where you are.
What was your first job ever?
I worked at Panera. A few years, 3 years at Panera.
How was that? Yeah.
I was good at it. I was really good at it. And then didn't end the way I wanted it to.
My only job besides baseball has been, I think, just mowing lawns.
I mowed a couple lawns in my aunt's neighborhood, mowed my aunt's lawn as well, but I think that might be it, a little bit of landscaping here and there.
Umpire.
Ooh, how did that go?
It was fine. Not a bad gig for, I think it was 15 or so. Yeah.
I was a painter for one of my teammates' dads. He ran a paint company in Chester, in my hometown, so I worked for him.
I worked at a golf shop concession stand. Yeah, or like a pool, like a country club concession stand. It was horrible. Me and my buddy we worked there for like 2 weeks, and we were like, all right, got to get out of here. I just got there for a free membership.
Do you like your new job the most?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Give me that cheddar, we getting Rico. Big money rolls like burritos. Give me that hot sauce, no pico. Give me that.
Hey everybody, it's Ravi Lulla from Hurrdat Sports here, and I'm reminding you to get down to Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill because Menu Madness Round 3 has already started. If you haven't been down here yet, make sure you get down and cast your vote because you can win $100 or $50 gift cards here from Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. So make sure you get down here, watch your teams, and vote to win.
The Mizuno and Oklahoma State softball story is a story of growth and success. After getting to visit the team this fall and watching practice and talking with Coach G, I am confident in this team this year.
The best you is really dang good. I mean, it's really good, okay? So just be that. No more, no less.
Mizuno and Oklahoma State softball are built for big moments.
Was walking away from the sport the hardest thing you think you've had to do in your career? How long did you know that it should be Danny Busman Kelly to take over?
And we went hard, and now it's Danny's turn.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
We're back here on Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill, reminding you, you got to get out and get that seatbelt fastened if you're on your way to work. Make it click, prevents injuries and saves lives, but only if worn properly. This message from the NDOT Highway Safety Office. DB, I have a question about Nebraska basketball, or Nebraska baseball, excuse me.
Oh, boy.
So here's where my concern is, right? And You've watched baseball for a very long time. It's your favorite sport, most likely.
Yes.
I've watched baseball for a very long time. Used to be my favorite sport. One of the things that concerns me is that for a while it was like, okay, they just need to get the bats going. They just need to get the bats going. Just need to get the bats going. Then they started to hit the ball hard against Kansas State, hit the ball well against Oregon State, hitting the ball well in the midweek games, and now all of a sudden the pitching's gone.
Yeah.
When it switches, that scares me.
Because it seems to be that they're taking on multiple leagues.
Yes. Or it just seems like for whatever reason they can't play both well at the same time.
Yeah, I think the pitching is more of a problem for me because I think and I get it. There's been some injuries, but everybody's. We're at the point in the season where everybody's going to have them.
Mm-hmm.
But I just think coming into this one, I thought the pitching was going to be a strength.
Yeah,
and I thought situationally,
and it had been for.
I think they had a lot of versatility.
Mm-hmm. First third of the season, it had been.
Yeah, it's just gotten away from them.
But I asked this question a couple weeks ago, and I'll ask it again now. Is just at some point, when is this? You are who you are. Like, are you just a slightly below 500 baseball team now? Like, they're 12-17. They're probably a little better than that. But at what point do you lose confidence that they're going to turn it around? Right? Because if it's not after taking 2 out of 3 from Oregon State, I don't really know when it's going to be.
In baseball, like right now, this is probably who they are.
Yeah. It's no longer really a small sample size.
Yeah. It's just weird when you have so many guys that have yet to really
a lot of guys you like
get to where they're capable of playing.
Yeah. So where does that leave you? Because in other sports, basketball, football, whatever, we would tend to make some conclusions about coaching or culture or locker room or whatever. Baseball, we don't tend to do that because it's sort of a fickle sport by nature. Guys that are really good aren't always really good, and guys that are really bad sometimes have good moments. So, like, I don't know what to do with that. You know what I mean? With that many guys who we like or have seen perform better than they are right now, what do you do with that when so many of them are not reaching what we've seen them be?
I mean, that's fair. But I've just seen guys snap out of it. You see it all the time with. I mean, who's a good one?
I mean, Gabe Swanson at the end of last year.
Yeah, Swanson's a good one. I was going to use Arenado. And then what's his buckets? Goldschmidt.
Sure.
From the last third of last year to what's happening.
I'm sure Devers will snap out of it at some point.
Case Anderson is a guy that I think there's probably. Probably 4 guys that I think have better in them.
Mm-hmm.
That just, I think Ty Horn is better than he's shown.
Sure.
Right. I think Silva's starting to get it going. I think Dylan Carey has some more in him. I'm not sure. Now there's a couple of guys.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, Gabe Swanson's got to be better, right?
Yeah, he does. Like, that's a guy you need to be better than he's playing.
I'm not sure on Frost.
Yeah.
People point to that, and I don't know, from just people I'm talking to that are close to the program, like, it didn't have a great fall.
Mm-hmm. Which you brought up.
I don't think I said it on air.
So I don't know if you didn't say him specifically. I think you did say on air that you were concerned about the bats from the fall.
Yep. Yeah.
Which is probably not something a lot of people paid a ton of attention to at the time.
It was just kind of me,
passing.
Bruntz, and some of the baseball guys just talking over fall.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think you brought it up with Bruntz at the very beginning of the spring.
I wondered.
Yeah.
I wondered. But I still think offensively those guys are capable of being better. But, I didn't – if you'd have asked me if I'd have thought, and wins and losses is a little overrated for pitching.
Sure.
Especially in college.
Yeah, because you have weird rotations. I get that.
But I did not expect Horn to be winless at this point. I didn't think Will Walsh would be whatever he is, 3-4.
Yeah, halfway through the season. Yeah, that's not what you need from them.
No, I mean, with guys like Brockett, I felt like I thought Dice would be further along. I thought Caleb Clark would be further along.
I thought you asked about him all year last year.
Yes, so I kind of have a thing for him.
Yeah, no, I get it.
I toned it down this year. Too many Canadian jokes. Nah, I'm kidding. No, not really. But I just didn't want the pressure.
Yes.
But I do think with baseball, you have to be careful. This is why I hedged when you said,
is this just who they are?
Yeah, because it is a very streaky sport.
It is.
And I mean, you can go on heaters.
But that's really the crux of the question, right?
But a lot of times you don't just find it as a pitcher.
Yeah.
Now, I've seen some guys can do it.
It's happened.
Yeah, some guys can do it. We saw Christo do it.
Yeah.
Last year. But typically, overall, as a whole, it doesn't just happen.
Yeah.
So that gives me pause. But offensively, because I think Nebraska offensively is trending in the right direction.
I would agree.
So that's why I'm sure is it Parcells? Was it Belichick? It was one of those Belichickians that said at some point you just are who your record is.
Yeah, I think that's Parcells.
So
Sure. He was a little more soundbitey than Belichick was.
Halfway through the season, maybe this is we do have the thing, but you have to be careful with baseball because you can go on heaters.
So that's kind of the crux of my question, though, right? Is like at what point in baseball does it turn from a streak?
A lot of times this is
or
getting in the weeds, but a lot of times it depends on what's ailing you.
Sure.
And what are you historically? Like eventually, good hitters snap out of it.
Yeah.
Even Carroll, from the Diamondbacks last year, with the atrocious 3/4 of the season, had a stretch later on in the season where you're like, oh, okay, that's the Carroll that I'm. So usually that it kind of depends on what you're coming from.
Yeah. There's
right. Bonds at some point wasn't going to always struggle in the postseason.
Yeah, because he's too good of a hitter.
Right. You knew at some point. Maybe you don't know.
I would say Kershaw.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
Or like at some point, Pedro was going to get out some Yankees at the end of the Red Sox run, like that. He struggled with him for a little while. At some point, he was going to figure it out.
So I'm a little hesitant with the pitching to say that because, I mean, guys are in new role. This is a different experience for Brockett. This isn't the off the radar feel good story.
Yeah.
Hey, you're a Sunday guy, man. We need you to kind of hunker down here. You're the anchor.
Yeah.
Ty Horn Will Walsh moving up.
Yeah.
Right.
We talk about this with
it's different.
We talk about this with other sports all the time, right? Whether it's wide receivers going from second option to first option, like it's harder to be a true number one.
Yeah, you know my favorite thing to say as a guy that was a spot starter.
Sure.
It's easier to spell the man than it is to be the man.
Talk about it in basketball all the time where I'm like, hey, if this guy's your third best player, you're in great shape. If he's your second best player, you might be in trouble.
I just think
it's the same type of thing.
The program should be too good to not be in the Big Ten tournament. So they need to be in the Big Ten tournament.
I would agree. That would be
it's
scathing indictment for a team that was preseason ranked.
Yeah.
I will say one of the interesting things to me is you mentioned guys kind of return to who they are. It's a pretty bad movie, but I like it. In Fever Pitch, Jimmy Fallon talks about he talks about how you can't fool baseball, right? That's one of the things he likes about it. You can't fool it. You might get on a hot streak, but eventually you'll be who you are. You might go on a cold streak, but eventually you'll be who you are. Like baseball is honest. And that's kind of your argument is we've seen these guys be good at some point if that's who they are.
That's a lot of why I say it's about managing failures.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's the wild card there.
It's just an incredibly difficult sport.
Yeah. More is going to go wrong for you than right in baseball.
Again, it's just one of the –
especially as a hitter.
The only where you're on offense and you don't possess the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, you're just constantly on the defensive.
Yeah.
So I think it's tough. Like in a week, you know what we're going to ask? And it's early and we'll still ask ourselves, like at the major league level, we're going to ask ourselves about the Yankees.
Sure.
Right? Got off to the torrid start and
are they really going to hit 4 or 5 home runs a game for the rest of the year?
Yeah. Is this who Bellinger is? It's just how baseball goes.
Yeah.
It's
can they really be this good in their lineup this long without Stanton?
Remember when the Braves won and I think they were 5 or 6 games under 500 at the break?
And
then all of a sudden,
well, it's short season too. Like that was
they just
figured it out.
go on a heater.
I mean, I watched a Red Sox team in 2013 that I didn't think was very good get hot in the postseason. And
Well,
win a
on
World
paper,
Series.
you certainly had better rosters.
Oh, 100%.
And you piecemealed that staff, too.
You piecemealed that staff together, piecemealed that lineup together. Almost nobody was on the team before or after that year. It was a super weird team, but they got hot in October and they win a World Series.
That's funny. That year was a big sports year for me.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because I was officially about to be sitting by myself for the next couple of years. I had some free time. That was the most breakfast I had eaten out by myself in the history of my 50 years.
Dude, I used to do that a lot. Go out and eat breakfast by myself.
Do you know how it started?
How's that?
I hadn't been on Twitter very long. I think Peterson hooked me up. He did my whole, I just gave him the toss in my phone thing.
Yeah.
I was like, I
Yeah,
don't
figure it out.
want to do Twitter. He set it up. I think it was like 11, maybe 2011. Might have been 12. I can look. But I put out on Twitter, I was like, Family Guy, I like to eat breakfast. It was a big deal in our household. Eat Saturday and Sunday breakfast together. I'm like, shoot, I ain't got nobody to eat with. So on Twitter, I
Put out the
was like,
bat signal?
yeah. I was like, where can a guy get a lot of food, good quality food for breakfast? And I landed on, I'll never forget this. I landed on, somebody told me about Bailey's.
Oh, yeah, you've told me about Bailey's before.
Yeah. On that day.
Yeah.
So I went right there. It was rainy, overcast Saturday morning. Your boy bellied up. It was different than I thought.
Yeah.
Inside. This is a little place, right?
Yeah.
I let the waitress talk me into. Oh, I asked the question about the Porkosaurus.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, "Oh, you can get a T-shirt and yada yada, and it's this, that, and the other." And I was like, "Give me that."
It's like an eating challenge thing.
And she's like, "Are you sure?" I was like, "Yeah, trust me.
I'm hungry."
She's probably looking around like, "Oh, this loser, like sitting by himself eating all this food, he's gonna eat his way into a food coma." So it was fairly easy.
Yeah.
Right. And one of the owners came out and she's like, "Hey, there's a couple tables down there that said you're such and such and such and such." And I was like, "I don't know who that guy is." And she's like, "What'd you think?" And I was like, "Oh, it was cool." She gave me like this T-shirt. And she's like, "Would you think about doing some?" I was like, "Nah, not in a good spot in my life." But the funny story is, I ordered that. Asked my mom. I took her there. This was probably 5-6 years ago. I'll just get it and order it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
eat it.
There's your meal.
Yeah, there's no challenge. Just eat that thing.
Back in the day.
That's what happened. Those are those ridiculous stories that I tell that don't have anything to do with anything. But that's how Bailey's breakfast was born. Me and my feels needing to feed my fat face because I was depressed about breakfast.
Kegs and eggs and football. Let's go.
You know what's gonna fix that? The Porkosaurus.
Dude, look it up.
You're like Ron Swanson, man. Sometimes.
I'm different, man. I'm different.
DB,
yeah, I'm different.
Built different.
I'm different. Yeah, I'm different.
All right.
I can't eat though. That's for sure.
You really can. But you can also not eat too. It's weird.
Yeah, we'll go a couple days. Just depends.
Weird, man.
Depends on where I'm at.
All right, Shay, let's take a quick break here. We'll come back, and I want to dive into I got some questions, DB.
I'm waiting to hear these stimulating toughies that you want to give me about. I'm guessing it has to do with football?
I got some questions. For you. We'll get to those when we come back here on Hurrdat Sports Live.
Omaha gets the upset win in Omaha, Tal Anderson Field, as it's the Mavericks winning 11-9, and Drew Borner hanging out with us. First and foremost, what a bomb and what a game. This felt like a marathon, but you had the sprint to the finish there, had the 2-run homer in the 7th. Walk me through that moment. You walk up to the plate, you felt confident going in?
Yeah, I felt confident. It was just a long game, and got to a 2-0 count there in the 7th, and got a good pitch to hit.
And you had to get comfortable with many different pitchers that you had to face today. What was that challenge for you and your teammates? You put up 11 runs, but you had many arms to go through.
I mean, they got some good arms, and they're some good pitchers. And he was a good pitcher. That kid was a good pitcher in high school, and we battled. We battled at the plate today.
How about this win for this team? You guys are starting to get back on a roll. And 8 days ago, you were run-ruled by Creighton right here. What's been the turning point?
We kind of just got together as a team. We had some conversations and got our first walk-off win the other day on Friday, and that kind of got us going, and now we're hoping to roll a little bit.
Then how do you take this and keep rolling, propel it even further?
Just one pitch at a time.
All right, appreciate your time. Congrats on the win.
Thank you.
Hey everybody, it's Ravi Lulla from Hurrdat Sports here, and I'm reminding you to get down to Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill because Menu Madness Round 3 has already started. If you haven't been down here yet, make sure you get down and cast your vote because you can win $100 or $50 gift cards here from Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. So make sure you get down here, watch your teams, and vote to win.
Was walking away from the sport the hardest thing you think you've had to do in your career? How long did you know that it should be Danny Busman Kelly to take over?
And we went hard, and now it's Danny's turn.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. Don't forget to come in to Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. Check out all their specials and participate in Menu Madness. You can come in, join the Loyalty Rewards program, and have a chance to win great prizes as well as get some discounts on fan favorites here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. DB?
Yes, sir.
I got some questions for you.
Why?
Well, because
Corey's a big fan of your 12-13 team too.
So I'm torn on that team, right? Because it felt very fluky. Like I don't feel great about out of the. I mean,
take it, baby.
No, I'm
take it.
Definitely gonna take it. But like 18 was a more. What am I looking at here?
It said the road to 162-0.
Come on.
Like,
what are we doing?
I got a buddy who's a Giants fan.
Yeah.
That watched him come back last night. He goes, God, these guys may never lose. Like, really? It's baseball.
You're gonna lose like 50 games, at least.
Yeah, I don't know.
112-50. That's pretty damn good.
You think they'll lose 50?
Yes.
I'm kidding.
In all likelihood, I think they're going to lose 50.
I hate your delivery sometimes.
What?
You
Yeah.
got your little smug sweater on. Yes. Like,
It's a
do
polar,
you need to be a professor and I'm like one of your students?
It's a polar fleece.
Would we be at Met together? I'm not an MIT guy.
I'm really not an engineering guy myself. More of a creative thinker.
Are you left-brained?
Depends. I don't know. I do a lot of money financial stuff too, so it's kind of a mixed bag.
Yeah.
You don't want to get too creative with the.
Very ambiguous. It fits.
You don't want to get too creative with the financials that get you in trouble.
Hey, what are you? Pretty damn smart. All right. What's the question?
I've got multiple questions.
I hate these because this impromptu stuff, when you start fishing, makes me nervous.
I'm not fishing.
I'm not fishing.
More like hunting or fishing.
Dude, is that a duck?
I believe so. We
Shane,
got some geese over at HQ, man.
I
You
don't
gotta
think
watch out.
I don't think that's a goose. I think
No,
that's
not. It's too small to be. A
That's
goose.
a duck.
Yeah, like a mallard.
The frick do we? Why do we have a duck?
I don't know. We out here, right?
Shane, go take a picture of that duck, please. I'm sorry. You don't have to record anything.
We're out here.
Robbie's going to talk to me a second. You have time.
Yeah, you have time.
I know you babysit those.
Go take a picture of the duck.
Flipping expensive equipment.
You know, if I can with my fat fingers, I'll do it.
So
Yeah, you do got some little Vienna sausages.
you don't got to worry.
I don't even know how you make those things work. You ever seen those things? Like they don't even. Where they? Do you have knuckles?
all three of them?
It's weird. I think that's why he texts like that.
He's the only person in my life I've ever seen hunt and peck with the text.
Dude, he went all the way outside though.
I know he
He's
did.
childish.
I appreciate
He
that.
could have just done it through the window.
I know. To the wall? till this. Never mind.
To the window, to the wall.
It's kind of my jam in high school.
To the sweat did what?
I don't remember the rest of it.
Me neither.
Never mind. Somebody's crawling. No, it's not Nebraska football though. I've got other football questions.
Okay.
We're
Don't make me mad with this Aaron Rodgers thing.
Oh well. First one is Steelers related.
Pressing.
It's time. It's that guy. I was gonna ask you about that guy. Good old Mike Tomlin.
Oh, I almost used his head today.
Yeah?
I almost had Mike Tomlin
Well,
out here.
you know how I like to ask you these questions in the form of true or delulu.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, that duck is like Shane's giving him the willies.
I know. A duck's like, I gotta get out of here.
They're
man.
about the same size too.
I think they should fight.
Oh, there goes the duck.
That is a duck. That's flying like a duck.
Do you know I didn't?
You know ducks could fly? They can. Yeah, not like great.
Okay, because I didn't.
I don't think.
I didn't think so.
They're not like great flyers. Like geese are good flyers.
Do you like how I whisper like other people?
Like there's not a camera on
I
us?
know it's so bad. I forget.
No, but ducks look like a bird that might not be able to fly well. I get
Yeah,
it.
that was a struggle.
It took them a little while to get off there, trying to get those wings going. Not like chickens. Chickens can like jump. They can't really fly.
No, I get it. I understand.
Big fogwa guy.
No, but I do.
You do like duck?
I do know about chickens.
So I was going to ask about Mike Tomlin. Because I'm not going to be like Shane and make purple drink jokes this morning. True or delulu? Mike Tomlin says he's comfortable going into the season with Mason Rudolph as his starting quarterback. Is that true or is he delulu?
True.
He's comfortable. Are you comfortable?
No. I'm terrified, and I hate Mason Rudolph.
Why do you hate Mason Rudolph so much? It's because of the Myles Garrett thing?
Yeah.
Okay. That's fair.
Yep. It's 100% because of the Myles Garrett thing. And I'm a big second chance guy.
Yeah, you are.
But nope.
And Myles Garrett's like,
I don't love Myles. I don't even like Myles Garrett. You know what's funny about Myles Garrett?
What's that?
His organization just yesterday came out publicly and said, "Hey, we're going to challenge you, Myles, to be a real leader in our organization."
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how many years Myles Garrett has been in the league?
Close to a decade.
Too long to be asking him to be a leader of your franchise. You either are
after you pay him $40 million a year,
or you aren't.
Yeah.
That's not something you say out loud.
Yeah, especially this far in and after you pay him.
Although they did just have an owner 2 days ago say, "Hey, this is on me and my wife."
I actually appreciated that.
We shot our shot. It was a loss.
And
we
we
have
missed.
to eat Deshaun Watson's contract.
Yeah, and the picks.
I was like, yeah.
I kind of appreciated that.
All three of those firsts.
Oh, it was like four or five?
Just the firsts.
Okay, yeah.
I think it was just
I thought it was 4.
Well, I could be off one, man. I had a lot of numbers in my head. I didn't ask.
You didn't ask Tim?
How did you know it was Tim?
Because that's the rational one. You told me.
Oh, good memory.
Well, I have a little bit of recall.
You don't even listen.
A leader.
I try to. Just sometimes doesn't stick.
Wow. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Shane, I don't want the music yet. I don't think he's done talking.
No, we don't have a guest today. We can keep going. It's good.
You can do whatever you
Did
like.
the duck force you to lose your bearings?
We were doing so good for a couple weeks on
Yeah.
not pressing the music too early.
And you were actually kind of listening to get a feel. Are we still in the practice? He has been empowered to do too much.
Yeah, we need this.
It's funny when it's you. He won't listen to me at all. And I actually defend this dude.
Need to scale it back a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
All right. Which of your personalities are the we in that one, Shane? How many we got?
Look, I'm going to do things my way.
That's about right.
That's about right.
All right. So that was my Mike Tomlin question. You're off the hot seat on Mike Tomlin.
Yeah, I don't like Myles Garrett and I don't like Mason Rudolph, but I do believe Tomlin when he's so irrationally confident.
Yeah.
He's a guy that won with, speaking of ducks, he won with Hodges.
Yeah.
So, okay.
So
I don't feel good.
Let me ask you this.
Be
For
going,
you
be going
personally,
to therapy with Daniel. Can you imagine us doing therapy together?
you personally, would you rather sign Aaron Rodgers or draft Jackson Dart if it's one or the other?
If it's one or the other?
Yeah.
I want to draft Jackson Dart.
Okay.
But I do want to sign Aaron Rodgers.
So you would do both?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know why?
Because you can win this year.
This is where I'm at. I want to prove everyone wrong. I've never seen a deal where a guy did not play that poorly a year ago. Is a legit upgrade from the guy that they had last year.
Without a doubt. Yeah.
And we're mad about it. Like, we're mad about it. Aaron Rodgers is a better quarterback than Russell Wilson a year later. I don't care what anybody says because it's not going to be true.
As much as
and we're upset. This team, they peed it down their leg the last 5 games, but they'd be better offensively with Aaron Rodgers. Like, what are we talking about? Is it the end-all, be-all? Is it the franchise answer? No. But guess what?
It'll help you next year.
Yeah, especially if you can get a quarterback.
Yeah,
like, why are we pissed about upgrading at quarterback?
Yeah, as Steelers.
So now I want him to go there and do well.
Just to prove everybody else wrong.
Because I'm a jerk. That's what I do. Yes. Yes.
Well, hell yeah.
Same reason I don't want Florida to win, even though I was their biggest cheerleader for 3 months.
Yeah, that one's irrational.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is. That one's irrational. Because if you had stayed on it.
I don't need you and your true serum. Okay? You can take that someplace else.
If you'd stayed on it,
Going
you'd still be right.
It's fine. I'll know I'm right. I don't need for you to tell me that.
I know, but you're not right anymore because you got off them.
Until they lose.
If they lose.
I don't know, man. Duke's pretty good.
Duke does look pretty good. And then you'll be wrong twice.
I love it.
That eye booger. I have to get that out.
Like, my favorite part about this is you picked Houston specifically. A, you like him.
Yes.
I'm not going to. But also because you didn't think anybody else was going to.
Correct.
That's the funniest part about this.
You're an idiot.
Number 2, we're going to stick with your team.
I don't like the sequential breakdowns of how I think. I don't even know how I think.
I know, but that's why you need like a mirror to be pointed at you sometimes.
That's why I got friends. Left to right.
I don't think they're helping you out that much.
You didn't ask me about the 4th one.
Well, you did. You said you're going to talk about it later.
It's old,
off air.
It's old DB.
You got to worry about that one.
That's the one.
What does the DB stand for in that context?
Debauchery.
Number 2, staying with your teams. Your man, your favorite Dodger, Shohei Ohtani, hit a walk-off last night.
Oh, I was well aware.
There's reports again that he's been delayed in his return to pitching. Some, including the famous Tim Kirkjian, believe that he may never pitch again.
Yeah.
If the Dodgers believe he will be useful to them on the mound this year, is that true or Delulu?
Delulu. And I'm the one that said I don't think he'll ever pitch again. So I don't.
So you're on that train.
I don't care if he does or not.
Yeah.
I don't.
So I'm going to ignore the deferred money. Even if he's just a hitter, still worth the $700 million.
Yeah, he's worth more than Juan Soto.
Yeah. Okay.
So
you're cool if he just doesn't pitch again, just hits walk-offs.
And hit walk-offs and play for championships.
Yeah.
You're good defensively. You steal bases. You're a 5-tool guy.
Yeah.
Play ball.
Stop messing around with
pitching. Was a bonus.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, I've always felt like this.
And unnecessary.
I've always felt like this. People wanted me to, like, I don't know, anoint him when he was throwing. And I've gotten into, there's another baseball guy famously in this market. Although he fancies himself a baseball guy. I think he is. We argued about him ad nauseum on air. So.
What was the argument?
The prowess of the duality of what he was doing.
Oh, like how much the duality was worth?
And it's where it relates in the pantheon. And I just said it's just too small of a sample size right now for me to be, I mean, I'm not getting the chub. It's just like, okay.
Like Nick?
Yes. I'm a huge
big chub guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
But they can overcome those kind of injuries.
Yeah,
exactly. That's what I was talking about.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So here's my question. And I guess it's not really a question, but is it fair to say, because you talk about kind of the prowess of being able to do both and everything, is it fair to say with the small-ish sample size still, especially with the pitching, there's like I still feel like he's probably the most talented baseball player I've ever seen.
He's incredible.
But that doesn't mean he's the best baseball. You know what I mean? Like there's a difference between best and most talented. Like he's probably got the most baseball talent I've ever seen in my life and maybe will ever see in my life.
His trajectory as an offensive player, if he can still run the bases, will put him in rare air of baseball talents even if he never pitches again.
Yeah. I mean, what did he go 50-50 last year?
Yeah.
That's never been done before. Like that's that's what we're talking about.
It's insane.
All right.
It's insane.
Next one.
Okay.
The Cleveland Cavaliers. We're going to talk a little NBA here.
I love the NBA.
I know,
I
me
wish
too.
more people did.
The Cleveland Cavaliers.
Although the luxury, so the tax goes up.
The threshold. The
TV shares have declined a smidge, but people in the arenas is up.
Yeah.
Do more people like the NBA than we think?
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
There's a lot of loud voices that like to complain about the NBA. It's a really good product. It's a super deep league in terms of competent teams. Now, towards the end of the season, you're seeing people get shut down. But they're like, I would say in 2/3 of the league, there's somebody that I would enjoy watching almost every night. It's a good product if you like basketball. Some people just don't like basketball that much, but they like college basketball because of the universities, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that. I would argue the same thing about baseball. There's certain people that like college baseball that don't like Major League Baseball because they like the attachment to the university.
It's strange. I've never understood that, but I don't try to.
I think some
reconcile
people
that.
I think some people like sports, some people like teams.
I'll see
Or
people,
schools, you know?
when I was heavily involved with the CWS, I would hear like these complaints about, kicking the ball around or not throwing strikes or something like that. And it's not Major League Baseball. And I'm like, again,
That's not why we're here.
100%.
Like that's not why we're here.
Yeah. It's just
College World Series is one of my.
It's just that's just a weird vibe.
Yeah.
Like it clearly isn't it's not Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
It's just not.
It's not what we're here for.
Yeah.
Cleveland Cavaliers reached 60 wins in a season for the first time in franchise history without LeBron on the team. Are the Cavs legit title contenders? True or Delulu?
True. 100%. Them going into the Garden a month ago and whipping their tail.
Yeah.
Now, again, to do it over a 5 or 7 game series is different, but they're capable.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that was their second win. They're legit.
I worry a little bit about.
But I like the Cavs for a long time.
Yeah.
With the whole Jared Allen and who's my twin
Evan Mobley.
from Mobley from he's not a
USC.
twin, but his brother when they were at SC.
Yeah.
I like the way that they put that roster together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do worry.
I'm going to be right about Detroit too.
I worry a little bit about the size of their backcourt getting bullied a little bit in certain matchups, but I do think that's a really good example. And like Bill Simmons and Ryan Russillo talked about this back when it happened, but
Russillo greater than Simmons, even though they're both like the pill that you open up in your vitamins, and you're like,
that's a lot to take.
What do I want to take this with to make it go down easy?
Yeah. So it depends on what they're talking about. It depends on what they're talking about. There's some stuff I like Russillo better. There's some stuff I like Simmons better on. But they're pretty good when they talk NBA together. And they were talking about when the Donovan Mitchell trade happened, they go like, hey, this is a good trade for Cleveland. Does it make them a title contender? I don't know. Probably not. But I think sometimes we view trades and transactions and things like that in the lens of, hey, if this team doesn't win a title, then the transaction wasn't worth it. No, like it made Cleveland a serious contender. It made Cleveland a serious basketball team and showed
you can play Garland and Mitchell and be just fine.
Yeah, I do think there are certain teams that they'll have trouble with defensively.
They don't make the all-body team, but
no. But I mean, Mitchell's capable for sure physically.
Yeah,
like that dude. Even though he's smaller, right?
Yeah.
He's super capable. And when you've got Mobley back there,
any night he can go for 40.
Yeah, and when you've got Mobley back there defensively,
yeah,
that changes the equation.
I believe in Cleveland.
All right, you're in the believe land.
I believe in Cleveland more than I believe in the Lakers.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Although
you have to twist my arm.
Ooh, that's tough.
Not for me.
I think the West is tougher, so that's part of it.
Yeah.
Now you've got Boston in the East, but that's really the one boogeyman for Cleveland.
I think if Cleveland played the Lakers tomorrow, they'd beat their head in.
You think so?
Yeah.
I just
I don't know if you've watched Luka defensively.
Oh, I have.
He would get tortured.
Yeah.
In that backcourt.
The idea of LeBron and Luka's upside scares me.
I just don't think the Lakers can play hard for a long time.
That's entirely possible.
I just don't see it.
I can buy that. They are huge, though.
Yeah, it's a big
It's
basketball.
a huge
team.
basketball team. All right, let's do at least one more here. Deion Sanders, my favorite, my personal favorite, signed an extension with Colorado through the 2029 season.
554.
5 years, $54 million.
It's amazing how they found money.
All of a sudden, because you remember a couple years ago when they signed him to the contract, they're like, "Yeah, we don't have the money to pay this contract yet." We're gonna
He was
figure it out.
openly intimating that too.
My man.
True or Delulu?
My man.
Prime will still be in Boulder by the end of the decade.
Ooh.
What's up, girl?
So basically, will he see the end of this contract?
That's a
And I'm not trying to be facetious here. I think that's a real question.
That's a good one.
2029.
Got his quarterback of the future.
Yep.
He picked the 5. I'd love to see how it reads.
Because he's not super young either. Let's see. I'm trying to remember how old he'll be at the end of that contract. He'll be in his 60s, I believe.
2. Well, I'm gonna guess 62.
Yeah, because I think he's 57 now.
That's I used to know everything about that.
Yeah,
kid.
he's 57 now, so
Let's
he'll
go.
be 62 by the end of that contract.
It's an abnormal obsession.
Love
And was never
admiration for one another.
I know love, which was never
What's bolster mean?
which was not why I wore 21.
What does bolstered mean?
You know, stop playing. I say no.
You say he's not there. Either NFL, different coaching job, or just not coaching anymore. That's the hard thing. Is I really don't know.
I don't think he has the desire to be in the NFL. He won't have enough control.
Fair. He does seem like a guy that wants to run the ship.
Yeah, and he is the story.
Yeah.
So
how many places can he go that's true?
Man, he ain't going to Jacksonville.
No.
Right?
That's why Dallas was a little intriguing, because I think Jerry would have let him be a big part of the story.
No, he'd have killed Jerry.
Yeah.
Or vice versa.
Put him in the ground.
And I shouldn't have said Jerry. I'd have said Steven.
Sure.
He would look at. I don't think he would have enough respect.
I think he would respect Jerry enough, but not Steven. He'd run all over Steven.
100%.
I get that. I do wonder, even in college, how many other places he would get.
I do think I need you to say out loud, and I'm not a pound of flesh guy. I
not usually.
I prefer to. I do think I need for you to say he's a good coach.
Oh, I have said that.
Okay.
I don't like him. He is a good coach.
He's a good coach.
Now, when he got hired at Colorado, I said, I don't know if he's a good coach. And I think that was fair, because I don't think anybody really knew. I thought he's done a really good job of putting the staffs together. He's gone and
Does
found.
this make you uncomfortable?
No, you can do whatever you want.
I need to stretch.
Yeah, a little tight.
My
hips.
My flipping quad.
Yeah. I thought he's done a really good job putting the staff together.
Mhm.
I think he's done a good job of finding guys that resonate with kids and that kind of fill his weaknesses. I mean, he's done a really good job in Colorado. That's the improvement from year 1 to year 2.
Did you hear Fran Brown yesterday?
Yeah, about Belichick and
said,
Ryan.
Yeah. And then,
Oh, did you hear Gundy?
So Shane, did you cue that? Do you have the Gundy clip
that he sent yesterday?
I do.
Yeah. If it's ready, I thought this was interesting because you're going to get this a lot. I'm just telling you.
Oh, they're about to get this a ton.
But hang on though. So what you're going to hear, this is my. What do you think about this? Coaches are going to be a lot like adults when I say you just because you can doesn't mean you should or make it a good idea. I still think you will have coaches that fundamentally won't push the envelope out of respect for the sport. But I do think you'll have guys that think like this. Shane, play the clip.
I mean, I think we should. I mentioned it the other day. I just thought of the deal with OU. I think it's a good deal. I would like to do it. I'd like to practice against them. I'll be honest with you. I'm not going to waste my time on who's going to determine what the rules are anymore, because essentially there's not really enough of them to follow, and I'm not even sure how they have grounds to say you can't do it. Like if somebody just goes and does it, what are they going to do to them?
Do you believe coaches will gravitate towards that sentiment?
I believe some will.
Yeah, I just can't see that being a thing. I
can.
Oh, is this the good piece of cheese?
For you? I think there is a subsection of coaches that line up with how
I
you're
don't
thinking.
think they want chaos. I don't. They'll talk about it and they'll do this.
Yeah.
But you don't want to get in the I don't think at the end of the day, for what the profession is from a leadership standpoint and young people and what they're trying to accomplish, I believe they'll exercise self-control even though they don't have to.
So exercising self-control is dicey in this situation. I would think the people that are currently on top will not overly challenge the status quo because they don't have good reason to.
Do you believe that these meetings of the minds to put together these committees for oversight that could be in play in July, which seems rushed, maybe not, I don't know, will be able to administer and facilitate rules?
So the relationship between NCAA and major college football is very strange because it's different than every other sport that they govern. And so I don't know, because I remember thinking, and this was almost 15 years ago at this point, it was when Nebraska left the Big Ten, that, have you seen Space Jam?
1,000 times.
Okay. So you know the aliens when at the end of the movie and they go to the big boss guy that's mean to him all the time.
Yeah. This is after they lost?
Is after they lost, and he's trying to bully him.
Yeah.
And Bugs Bunny's like, why are you listening to this guy?
Yeah.
And they go, because he's bigger. And then they look around and they go, then we used to be. They're all big now. Major college football is bigger than the NCAA now.
Okay, let me ask you something.
Yeah.
How many times have you thought to yourself, well, who's going to stop me? And then you do it anyway.
Probably more times than I care to admit.
Really?
Yeah. I think that now, when I was younger, mostly.
Okay. Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, same way.
Yeah.
I mean,
now a lot less because I've got more restraint.
I grew up thinking Billy Jack was like the greatest person ever because he pushed the envelope.
Yeah.
Like that's how I used to think.
Yeah, like there's a part of me that still likes Tommy Shelby because he goes, hey, who's going to stop us?
Okay. Shane, how many times have you been in a position where you say, well, who's going to stop me? Clearly, the show couldn't function for years without you. Did you ever think about abusing that power?
Oh, I abuse it every day.
I'm not talking about your privates. I'm talking about your job. Private life, Shane, your private life.
Have I ever thought about abusing it? No. Hey, I'm pushing the envelope. I'm Billy Jack. I told you no.
Okay.
I'm good. I'm cool.
My bad.
I'm cool. I'm cool.
I think a lot of adults, especially coaches, will check their moral compass, even though in the back of their head they will be thinking,
who's going to stop me?
Who's going to stop me?
So here's where I think there's going to be a separator. People that want to be on top but aren't have a lot less restraint trying to get there. Those are the guys. It's the middle class of football coaches.
So you think Rule is rare? You think he's rare when he says things like...
That's part of why I like him.
Okay, but hang on. Hang on.
Yeah.
He said, unless you're a guy that doesn't mind promising the world and then having to go back on it, then you need to be patient. You think he's in the minority?
I think he said that because he knows he's in the minority.
I don't know.
I think there's a lot of guys, and listen, I can speak more.
And there's a difference between being myopic and naive. I don't think I'm either.
I don't think you're either. I do think this is one of the things where you're giving people the benefit of the doubt.
But because I know the downside of it.
I do too.
And I think they do too. I'm just telling you, when you let being unchecked, because you can direct your behavior, it's not going to end well. And I think they know that too.
I think you have to go only as far to look at.
So more Gundys than Rules.
Yes. Well, I don't know about more, but here's the problem is you don't have to have more. If you only have a handful of guys that operate like Gundy, it kind of messes it up for everybody.
Not really.
I think so.
Not really.
Because once you have this, even if it's a 2-to-1 ratio of Rules to Gundys, right? 2-to-1 ratio of guys that have a moral compass. And I'm not even saying Gundy doesn't, because he sounds sort of like he's more of a talker in this situation than he would actually do it. But we'll use Gundy just for an example. If you've got a 2-to-1 rule to Gundy ratio, you have a third of your sport in open rebellion against your governing body, you're screwed.
So you understand at the same point, okay, let's say I humor that. All right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm listening. I'm listening.
It's a good listening face.
Thank you. I'm still shook over it. Anyway, you still realize that these guys, let's say Gundy puts his money where his mouth is.
Mm-hmm.
He's always yapping anyway.
Yeah.
Guys, you know what?
He talks a lot.
I'm going to get together with this Venables guy,
mm-hmm.
and we're going to bring Oklahoma on up. We're going to fly them on up.
Mm-hmm.
At what point do you convince your players, even though there's no real permission, it's not sanctioned, it's not anything that anybody's, you know that you're not supposed to be doing it.
Mm-hmm.
At what point do you think, or how long does it take to get your players to buy in that you're doing it anyway in a position of leadership where you're showing outward defiance?
I think it really depends on your relationship with the team.
Yeah.
Like
because
what?
I don't think that's sustainable.
Yeah, I don't know about sustainable, but that's the thing.
You don't think guys will be like, are we supposed to be doing this?
That's the thing about chaos, though. It doesn't have to be sustainable to be disruptive.
But that's not the point. I said I talked about staying power.
Yeah.
I think coaches know at the end of the day there is no staying power in chaos.
That's why I pointed to the kind of middle class of coaches, right? Because for people that are at the top, staying power is important because they've already achieved, they've reached goals, and now they're trying to stay in that position. If you've got this middle class of coaches that's looking at it and goes, okay, I can't or haven't had the opportunity to get to that upper tier of college football the way I'm doing things, then all of a sudden long-term thinking
When's the last time you took your ball and went home? Because you weren't invited to the party, you're going to have your own?
I think there's a lot of people that think that way.
I don't know, man. That's wild. Not at that point doing what they do, because I think you have to think about what their character traits are that got them to this point.
I get that. I do. But I also...
Are you sure?
I do. I also think that there's I don't want to say a lot. There's a significant section of coaches that are there because of their acumen and not their character.
Fair.
Right?
Right. Why would that be any different than the rest of the population?
Right. So they have this acumen. That doesn't mean that they have the best interest of anyone else at heart. Now, it's hard to,
So you don't think they're cognizant of opening Pandora's box by just going rogue?
So here's the thing. I think they're cognizant of it. I think there's a point where you don't care. Like if you're...
I don't think it's so bad yet.
Maybe it's not. But I do know that those people exist. And that's part of the reason. And I don't think Deion's like this because I think he'll kind of... I don't know. He'll listen to the powers that be that tell him, hey...
Well, I think at some point, and moral isn't the... I'm not talking about like moral turpitude. I'm talking about...
Like he believes in the institution enough to let it rule itself,
right? I think there's enough respect
from him.
Because
I don't think everybody's like that.
Because hear my heart.
Yeah.
And I mean this. This is... Nobody's paying me for this.
Mm-hmm.
Well, technically, Bill, but...
Not this specific point, though.
A relationship, this is just my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Write this down. I feel like this guy that does this algorithm with his wife.
Okay.
And he goes, write this down. And it's always something funny about the difference between men and women. A relationship can overcome any emotion or feeling, I should say, because there's a difference, except one. I think the only feeling that is not, you're not able to overcome in a relationship, I don't care if it's boss, employee, coach, player, spouse, whatever.
Resentment.
Cannot overcome contempt. Once there's contempt,
it's over.
It is Vince Carter over.
Yeah.
So ask yourself, is there contempt in this relationship? And Google contempt. When you believe something is not worthy or beneath you or deserves, you have to Google contempt.
The feeling that a person or thing is beneath consideration, worthless, or deserving scorn. So if you think that,
it can overcome lying, it can overcome disrespect, it can overcome
betrayal, anger, anything.
Once contempt creeps in,
ball game.
Forget it.
So
don't even waste your time. So when you start doing that, and you invite that into your sport in a position of leadership, it's over.
Here's my question.
It's over.
Are there enough coaches? And again, I don't think it has to be a majority. I don't even think it has to be close to a majority. I think you're talking about a quarter of a third of coaches.
Why do you who has that kind of stroke? We're talking about a sport that's ran by 2 conferences.
I get that, but that's part of why contempt can creep into the conversation for other people. Because if you're not part of the haves, the have-nots are the ones that gain contempt for a situation.
So okay, all right, I'm with you. But so what's the end game? That's my favorite question, right? In conflict, I say this what's the end game? Like, why are you acting like this?
So here's the thing. I agree. But when you see the end game as
I would typically say what's the desired outcome.
Right. But if you see what's currently happening and you go, hey, there's no way under the current circumstances for me to reach my desired outcome, which is to be a college football power, right? Like, let's say that's the desired outcome for everybody here. Make the most money, be in the position of influences, be a college football power, and all that entails.
So then the next question would be, how does being defiant help me get there?
Okay, but if you sit there and you go, in my current position, I'm in the Big 12. Let's say I'm in the Big 12 or ACC.
You're Scott Frost.
In my current position.
You got North Carolina coming up.
Is there any way for a new Big 12 member in UCF to have the same kind of stroke that anybody in the SEC or Big 12 or Big 10 has?
Well, the better question is the follow-up.
What's that?
If the answer is no, am I willing to do this?
Right. But if the answer is no, and you feel 100% that the answer is no, the things that some people are willing to do really open up. Because what do we always say? Hey, I can't win with you. I might as well lose without you. Because then at least they feel like they're doing something and they're not just resigned to their fates. That's the other thing about college football coaches and the way they're built for the most part, is if they don't feel there's a path forward for them to be successful under the current landscape, they'll try and change the landscape.
So that is interesting. I think on an individual level, I've said this before, and this is dealing with young people because it's really the only thing that I love, other than my dogs. When you lose hope, the consequences don't matter.
Exactly.
Right? So I understand that.
Yes.
I understand that. You lose hope. That's why sometimes, well, why didn't you just do that? Well, I don't believe in it. So what difference does the outcome make? When you're overseeing groups, you're not afforded that luxury. As an individual entity, cool. I'm hungry, therefore I stole. I didn't have any belief that it was going to get any better. The outcome of being arrested did not really matter. Okay, right? That's a granular scale. When I'm responsible for 100 other people representing an institution, it's my original point. I think you're less likely to go out on your skis and go rogue as an overseer of the greater good. I just think your behavior, again, I don't have a better term than moral compass, but your sense of right and wrong.
Your obligation to
I'm not
the greater good.
because I'm not empowering morality. I'm talking about as a representative, how does it feel to me to be overseeing this? That's why I don't like when Gundy says things like that, because he's inside. If you feel like that, then do it and let me know how that works out for you.
Yeah,
that's at the end of the day, that's what I want to say to Gundy. Go, hey, hit Venables up. Whose dime is that going to be on?
So there's
whose dime is that going to be on?
There's two things there.
Whose dime is that going to be on?
I get it.
Right? Like he's just talking.
There's two things here though. Number one, I agree. When you're responsible for more people, it does become less likely. Not that it won't happen, but I do think it becomes less likely. The second thing there is and I think this is maybe a little bit of a blind spot for you because you do care so much about the people that you are in charge of or oversee. I think you assume everyone is like that in the profession. And listen, I get that most people are. I think there's enough that aren't.
Okay,
that's my only point.
Maybe I'm not saying it correctly. I think between the infrastructures of coaches as overseers of young people, as representatives of the university, it's such a small fraternity. They won't do each other like that. Now, I'm not saying they won't cheat, right? Because, hey, we want this player. They'll tamper. Yeah. Because they think everybody's doing it.
But somebody started doing that first before.
I think the respect that they have for the fraternity keeps them in check. Like, do you really want to be the agent of chaos amongst your peer group?
If you feel like you have nothing to lose.
Well, how bad is it?
For people in a certain level of college football, like we've talked about this before.
He jumped the Gundy.
Gundy did for sure. But here's the thing. We've talked about this since the revenue sharing came out. There's going to be a class of college football that we talked about it when talking about people that might take on private equity money. Rules talked about it of people that are going to have to fundraise to get to their revenue share every year. There's a class of people that are going to become incredibly desperate to survive. And then they'll start doing stuff that we never thought was possible before.
Well, we'll see.
That's what I believe. I think the new model is going to put people in a place of desperation that makes all bets are off. Because you're right. They think everybody is tampering and cheating and doing all that kind of stuff. So everybody kind of does it. Somebody did it first before they knew anybody else was doing it.
I don't know. I think he's being disingenuous.
I think Gundy's probably being disingenuous, but I think there's people who go out there and hear that and are like, oh, he's got a point.
Well, everybody else is doing it.
But they aren't.
I know, Damon, I know.
Well, why didn't Fran just take his team over to Boulder? Who's footing that bill?
Somebody.
No, they're not.
No, but if you find somebody that does, and there's people at different universities
You're going to move 80 guys over to Boulder to have a 3-day practice?
You're telling me that
it's not even functionally sustainable.
You're telling me that there's not universities that have donors that would be like, yeah, I'll do that.
So you're telling me that there's universities that don't have donors that aren't going to be terrified over revenue sharing?
100% there are. But there's some that are just like, hey, it's cheaper to fly 80 guys to Boulder than it is to fund a $22 million roster.
So but unless you can fund a $22 million roster, you're not flying your guys to Boulder.
I know, but if you can fund the $22 million roster today, but you're worried about funding it tomorrow, you're going to start doing some crazy stuff.
We'll see.
We're going to talk to Coach Bird Kuhn from the Omaha Supernovas coming up next.
Omaha gets the upset win in Omaha, Tal Anderson Field, as it's the Mavericks winning 11-9, and Drew Borner hanging out with us. First and foremost, what a bomb and what a game. This felt like a marathon, but you had the sprint to the finish there, had the 2-run homer in the 7th. Walk me through that moment. You walk up to the plate, you felt confident going in?
Yeah, I felt confident. It was just a long game, and got to a 2-0 count there in the 7th, and got a good pitch to hit.
And you had to get comfortable with many different pitchers that you had to face today. What was that challenge for you and your teammates? You put up 11 runs, but you had many arms to go through.
I mean, they got some good arms, and they're some good pitchers, and he was a good pitcher. That kid was a good pitcher in high school, and we battled at the plate today.
How about this win for this team? You guys are starting to get back on a roll, and 8 days ago, you were run ruled by Creighton right here. What's been the turning point?
We kind of just got together as a team. We had some conversations, and got our first walk-off win the other day on Friday, and that kind of got us going, and now we're hoping to roll a little bit.
Then how do you take this and keep rolling, propel it even further?
Just one pitch at a time.
All right, appreciate your time. Congrats on the win.
Thank you.
Hey, everybody, it's Ravi Lulla from Hurrdat Sports here, and I'm reminding you to get down to Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill because Menu Madness Round 3 has already started. If you haven't been down here yet, make sure you get down and cast your vote because you can win $100 or $50 gift cards here from Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. So make sure you get down here, watch your teams, and vote to win.
Was walking away from the sport the hardest thing you think you've had to do in your career? How long did you know that it should be Danny Busman Kelly to take over?
And we went hard, and now it's Danny's turn.
Aspirations can drive us. Sometimes a simple gesture is what fuels the pursuit of a dream. When it's time to make your dream a reality, we are here to help. Centris Federal Credit Union. We are where you are.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here from Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. We are joined now by the head coach of your Omaha Supernovas, Laura Bird-Kuhn. Coach, apologize for being a little late getting to you here. DB and I aren't exactly train conductors getting things running on time, but we appreciate you joining us.
All good, all good. I texted. I was like, "Hey, are they calling? Yeah, what's up?" It's all good. It's all good.
It's me. We're into these spirited conversations about coaching and leadership, and this was on the heels, Coach, of and you used to be in the collegiate game, so you may be able to get this. But we were talking about kind of Coach Gundy and him saying, you know, this inter squad or not inter squad, like just scrimmaging other teams and. You know, obviously it was voted down, and he's like, well, who's going to stop us now? And my point is typically when you're like the leader or an overseer of people like yourself, and you ask yourself the question, who's going to stop me? Isn't that kind of a good indicator as a coach you probably shouldn't be doing it?
Yeah.
Right?
But it's funny. It makes me laugh because I think we all reach a point, and it is. I mean, it's a line of respect and just obviously knowing the limits of what you should and should not do. But yeah, I mean, the irony of that situation is, yeah.
No, Coach, you're good. I mean, there's something good in there that you want to say, and like we're in the tree of trust, man. I'm like Will Ferrell.
Yeah, the trust tree that us and everyone else listening.
Hey, so we're streaming to 12,000 people. It's fine.
Sometimes it gets me when I'm on the radio or just in the conversation. I'm like, oh yeah, no one's listening to this. I can't see them.
Guess what?
Yeah,
I've
gonna hear this.
So you won't. The list of just the dumb things I said today is embarrassing, and I do this for a living. I was mortified. I forgot the camera was on once, Coach, and it's been a debacle ever since. So, hey, man.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I've been there. The radio really gets me. It can do that.
It's like they can't see me. Oh wait, yeah, they can.
It's true. If there's nobody in the room, I feel like there's nobody else that can see me or hear me.
Right, this isn't real. We can say whatever we want.
I'm just gonna keep telling myself that. By the way,
I mean, Coach, we're only on the internet now, so we can say whatever we want.
As long long as I can swear and I'm safe there.
That's what everybody says. I've heard more potty words in the last 3 weeks than in my. No, that's not true. But
in the last 3 weeks, right?
no, yeah, that's good. That's gonna be a little bit of hyperbole, but it is just out of control. Like it's like, oh, I guess this is how people just talk, and now they can. That's fine. That's fine. The floor is yours.
Coach, got to ask you about kind of this hot streak that you guys have been on, playing great volleyball right now, and really have found a groove here as of late. Just what do you see going on with this team that makes you think they're clicking so well?
Well, I mean, throughout the season, we talk about this, the evolution and the time just spent training and playing and competing together, and every team is getting better right now. You can see it across the board. But going into this home stretch, this last month is going to be the most challenging. I mean, everyone's on the same wavelength. We've all been playing together for 3 months almost, and now it's like go time. So even though we've been playing well, we need to play consistent. And so it's the way we train, though. I love this team and the way they get after it in the gym. I mean, it doesn't matter where we're at in the season. This last 2 days of practice has been hilarious. We always find ways to challenge them and get them going, and whether it's a new drill or a new scoring, and they literally lose their mind when we start competing. That's hysterical. So it's fun. They're a fun group.
Coach, let me ask you something, especially coming off a season that was so successful, and you get some new faces, so maybe this helps, but you know how to play the long game. You've done this a ton. You've talked intimately about training and resting and knowing how to maximize. And how do you keep from not intentionally kind of just leveling up, or do you embrace it knowing that you want to be playing your best volleyball down the stretch? Like, is there some sort of balance there for you?
I mean, when it comes to training and knowing your team, that's going to be different year to year.
Ooh,
so
okay.
like the way we can push this team and just the personnel and what each individual player needs, but then what the team needs as a whole, you gauge that. I mean, it's just a learning curve of what they respond to, what they don't. It's the same as coaching live, like how to get them going or what to say and what not to say, and the way the team responds as a whole. And so for this group, I mean, we know we have to manage certain things, and so our strength coach and our athletic trainer, all of us always talk quite a bit. So we have a good gauge on where they're at physically, and we know kind of the load management each day. Like today, they'll lift and then come into practice. So today isn't a day that we want to go 2 hours because we're getting closer to the game, but we still want to get a blast of 6-on-6 intense training. So we'll get in right after their lift and we'll go hard for like an hour, hour and a half. But it's just knowing how to manage the team, and yet you learn over time. But there's also ways, drills and ways to keep them engaged and, just teaching them how to control energy really with this group, the momentum of match.
Coach, you mentioned this stretch run last month of the regular season being critical. Are there specific things you're looking to try and accomplish over this last month, or is it just, hey, you want to be healthy and feel like you're playing your best volleyball?
Both. I think it's a combo of both. We want to be healthy and playing our best, but we also have little things that we still need to get better at. I mean, we need to execute at a higher level when it comes to our first ball contacts. Like, we've been serving well, but I don't think we've been passing great. In transition, we need to take care of the ball better. So there's always little things, and executing scout and game plan, because there's new personnel, people with added players, and so that is also always key. Trusting the game plan, getting at a high level, and making adjustments quick when we need to in match.
Coach, appreciate the time as always. Good luck on Saturday when you're out there, and hopefully we will see you out there again soon.
Yeah, let me know when you guys want to chit-chat about some March Madness. And all that.
Hey, next time we'll let you recap the finals after Monday. Because I know you got some hot takes. You do a good job of being pretty reserved, but I know there's some good stuff in there. We'll get it out of you.
Oh yeah. Give me a safe space. We'll get into it.
You got it. We're the epitome of safe.
Coach, appreciate the time. Good luck this weekend.
All right, thanks.
Thanks, Coach.
We'll be right back in just a minute with Brian Edwards, our Vegas Insider.
We will be back. be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live. Now, Vegas insider, senior handicapper, and fan of the cold Budweiser bottles, Brian Edwards.
It's got to be touchdown, touchdown, touchdown.
Brian Edwards.
I don't really love it.
Brian Edwards.
Were they using the cream cheese to butter the bagel?
Brian Edwards.
I'm going with the cowgirl.
Here is Brian Edwards.
We're back here on Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. We're joined now by our Vegas friend from Major Wager, Brian Edwards. What's going on, B?
Good morning, guys. What's happening?
We're just trying to make it, B. This new schedule of being able to kind of do what we want is for a couple guys that have zero concept of time
or self-control.
Speak for yourself. We are trying to kind of negotiate. And, here's the hard part, B. We have got to learn and keep reminding ourselves that we can come back from a break whenever we want to. It doesn't have to be 3 minutes. It doesn't have to be 4 minutes. It doesn't have to be 2. So, if we just want to catch our breath, high five for me, stretch, we can come right back to you. We don't have to rush you either now. So I feel good.
If this is an apology for us getting started late, hold your breath. That's fine with me. No problem.
Well, I had to give you time to find the right buttons too.
Right, exactly. I mean, I'm always running a minute or 3 behind, so it's fine with me.
Have you been spending your winnings, or what's up? How we doing?
Well, I'm waiting to see how these future bets turn out, because I've kind of
you swallowed a canary. You got all excited.
I kind of got a couple of like hedgish type things going for my Florida 35-1, because I also did Walter Clayton 6-1 to win most outstanding player, but I have that hedged with Cooper Flagg plus 255 to win most outstanding player. I did an exacta with Florida Duke to make the finals, both of them plus 250. I did an exacta like final result with Duke to beat Florida plus 420 and Florida to beat Duke at plus 590. So I've got all kind of pieces working here. And so, no, I'm not making any plans to spend any money. We got to get to Tuesday.
When you bringing me out, where are we traveling?
Yeah, we got to see how everything shakes out, guys.
A lot of sharks in that Destin area. Maybe we need to go back west towards Vegas.
Well, and I also have plans to go to UFC 314 in Miami next weekend. So,
that's a great card. That's a really good card. I don't know if I'd say great. That's a really good card.
Yeah, I agree. Now they did just lose Jeff Neal and Prater.
They
did, and now they did Prater to face Gary in UFC Kansas City main event on somewhat short notice. I think I think it's April 26th. I want to say so. Yeah, got all kind of UFC stuff going.
B, are you how locked in are you on the crown right now?
Pretty good.
About as locked in as Gus Johnson?
Right? Yeah. That's a good impersonation. I like that. Yeah, I had Boise first half yesterday. I had a Boise, Nebraska moneyline parlay yesterday. And what is that now? 3 days ago. And I had Chattanooga NIT 2 nights ago, and I got Chattanooga again tonight. So now, but I've been like small amounts this week because I'm tired of stressing on these big bets. I'll get back to that this
everybody's week. In the tree of trust. We just say things because we're authentic. It's good to know you're human, B. You see, not a machine.
You don't like all right, Rocky. You don't like stressing big money when you have no idea who's going to play?
No, yeah. I have actually hit a couple of NBA bets too. The Hawks over the last 2 nights.
You're such a glutton. The NBA is so hard.
That's why I just do the Hawks overs. But yes, you're right. You don't know who's going to play. You have no idea. Before noon, you literally have no idea who's playing.
Yeah,
And
Who was it the other day?
Well,
They were
especially
playing the
end of
Bulls.
season.
Somebody was up 37 at the half. It was like 77 to 40.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm
they
like,
won by 10.
I mean, kind of. They won. It was like 19.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, it's just weird. I saw last night. What was the clip joint? The Clippers were like 18 over the Pelicans. I'm like, what is going on?
Well, the Pelicans shut down half their squad, so that's the other problem. End of the season is even worse because you really don't know who's going to play.
Yeah, because you got the tanking, and then you've got like other teams who are just vying.
I don't know.
for
I'd feel a
certain
lot better if I knew Cooper Flagg was actually going to come out
For the draft?
Yeah, if you're going to tank.
I mean, he's coming out. Come on.
I don't know.
Come on.
Okay.
Come on.
All right.
What
you
is
get-
two-
life is good in Raleigh Durham. In Durham, I should say.
Yeah.
Life's good in the NBA, too. I don't know if you know that.
I don't know. It's a lot
I don't
safer
know.
too.
Like I
Yeah.
like
Would
Reed,
you like to be a wizard?
like Reed Shepard last year at Kentucky. I'm like, why are you leaving for the NBA, bro? You could be the king of Lexington and probably get 5-7 million in NIL, and you're going to go to the NBA and be on airplanes all the time and hardly play. And I looked at his stats a few weeks back.
Oh, he doesn't play at all.
Right. Like, what was he thinking?
He's thinking get that first round money.
Tough. All right, let's start with. You want to start with UTC and kind of how you have that wrapped up? What do you like?
Yeah, so Chattanooga they're plus 3.5 or 4 to UC Irvine, and they have been their last 8 times as underdogs. They've won outright every time, including all 4 games in the NIT. If you go back to January 25th, the Mocs are 16-1 straight up, 14-3 against the spread. Their only outright loss in overtime to Furman. I like the Mocs. I like them to win outright against UC Irvine tonight, but I would go plus 4, for like a unit, and then like a quarter to half unit on plus 160 on the money line.
B, let's go over to some of these Final Four plays we got going on here. I know you're on your Gators. What are you playing?
Yeah, so I like Florida minus 2.5. Now, personally, I'm not sure how much I'll be on them, just because, like I said, with all the futures and stuff, I'll probably be on them a little bit though. Depending, I want to see Broom some film on, is he limping with the ankle? Is the elbow bothering him? I kind of just want to see how he looks and if that affects the line. But the one that I really like, and I've already bet it no matter what, is Florida's team total. Now it's been bouncing around from 80.5 to 81 to 81.5. And I point that out because I'm going to use a stat that they've scored at least 81 in 31 of their 38 games. Now, if the number's 81.5, that stat doesn't matter. But Florida scored at least 84 in 9 of its last 10 games. Ken Pom has them ranked second in the country in offensive efficiency. They're third in the nation in scoring, averaging 85.4 points per game. And they scored 90 at Auburn when Auburn was fully healthy and Elijah Martin was out with a hip pointer. So Florida team total over 80.5, 81 or 81.5 is my favorite play. And I like them minus 2.5. They're 11-3 against the spread as single-digit favorites. Now, I will say this. I'm not nearly as confident in my Gators as I was coming out of the SEC tournament. They look very vulnerable against UConn and Texas Tech. And to be honest, other than the first 12 minutes of the Norfolk State game,
I agree.
The last 5 minutes of the UConn game, the second half of the Maryland game, and the last 4 minutes of Texas Tech game, they look good. Other than that, they look very vulnerable, and they're not playing their best basketball, at least what they were playing SEC tourney in about a month prior to that.
I told Ravi, I said, this isn't a hot take, but you could make the case that Florida is the only team that isn't playing like who they had been most of the year.
Yeah, let's sleep.
Is that good or bad, guys? Is that good or bad? Is it good that you're here without playing that great, or is it?
I don't know. I guess if you're going to play hero ball and it's Clayton Jr., you'll take it.
Good hero to have.
Right.
But it does get dicey a little bit with kind of how they sleepwalk for so long. And then all of a sudden he's like, yeah,
I guess time to go.
Time to hit the X button. And then he just kind of takes over. I don't know. It doesn't seem like a good way to make a living, but they're capable.
But I mean, I guess I phrased that wrong. I meant to say, is it good that we're here and we're not even playing that good? And like, okay, now it's time to turn up, or is it bad that maybe we've lost a little confidence and maybe we're not playing good for a certain reason? I don't know. We'll see.
That is the $1 million question. The other $1 million question is in the other Final Four game, Duke and Houston. Duke is a -4.5, -5, depends on where you see it. Favorite. What do you like in there?
I like Duke -5. I mean, look, I love Houston's toughness, their rebounding, their defense, obviously, but I just don't think they're going to get enough buckets. I just don't think they're going to get enough buckets. I got to go with Duke here. And I don't know if y'all seen the hypotheticals, but I'll rip them off to you if you want to know them.
Yeah.
Duke -6.5 to Auburn, 153.5 in the finals. Auburn +202 money line. Houston -1.5 to Auburn, 138.5. Florida -1.5 to Houston, 143.5. And Duke -4.5 to Florida, total 159.5. Florida +172 money line.
B, this one's interesting. I still don't really believe the line. I said when the Crown lineup came out, Boise State was the best team, and the tournament they get Nebraska. Were you surprised to see it's only 1.5? That looks awfully suspicious for a team in Boise that I think is considerably better.
Yeah, I like Boise here. I'm not shocked that it's that. I mean, I was thinking more like 2.5, 3. Now, I will say Bet Online is the only book that I see up. I don't know if y'all see any other books up.
I don't have
yeah, the other books could come in at 3 or 4. I mean, who knows? Bet Online's got 1.5. I like Boise there, but they've both been good to me this week. I think Nebraska's playing pretty good, and Bryce Williams is obviously
their second halves, especially.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. That had me scared to bet them in the first half, but I could have should have yesterday because they have been slow. And I'm like, well, if they go slow again, I'll just get them live at a better number. So all I did with Nebraska was the money line parlay, but the first leg it hit. So it worked out.
And apparently Villanova likes the fact that they're getting a new coach because they look like a functional basketball team. What do you like with Nova?
Yeah, I'm just going to go Cincinnati and Nova money line parlay, and I don't know the exact price. I just know I plugged it in at 100 and I get 95. So a slight minus.
You junkie. Let me just play with the numbers.
That's our guy, Brian Edwards, Vegas Insider, Major Wager. We appreciate it, B. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, guys. Y'all have a good weekend.
Thanks, B.
Coming up next,
See
we
ya.
got the only Michael Bruntz, Husker 24/7 here, Hurrdat Sports Live.
Omaha gets the upset win in Omaha, Tal Anderson Field, as it's the Mavericks winning 11-9, and Drew Borner hanging out with us. First and foremost, what a bomb and what a game. This felt like a marathon, but you had the sprint to the finish there, had the 2-run homer in the 7th. Walk me through that moment. You walk up to the plate, you felt confident going in?
Yeah, I felt confident. It was just a long game, and got to a 2-0 count there in the 7th, and got a good pitch to hit.
And you had to get comfortable with many different pitchers that you had to face today. What was that challenge for you and your teammates? You put up 11 runs, but you had many arms to go through.
I mean, they got some good arms, and I mean, they're some good pitchers, and he was a good pitcher. That kid was a good pitcher in high school, and we battled. We battled at the plate today.
How about this win for this team? You guys are starting to get back on a roll. And 8 days ago, you were run ruled by Creighton right here. Yeah. What's been the turning point?
We kind of just got together as a team. We had some conversations and got our first walk-off win the other day on Friday, and that kind of got us going, and now we're hoping to roll a little bit.
Then how do you take this and keep rolling, propel it even further?
Just one pitch at a time.
All right, appreciate your time. Congrats on the win.
Thank you.
Hey, everybody, it's Ravi Lulla from Hurrdat Sports here, and I'm reminding you to get down to Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill because Menu Madness Round 3 has already started. If you haven't been down here yet, make sure you get down and cast your vote because you can win $100 or $50 gift cards here from Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. So make sure you get down here, watch your teams, and vote to win.
Was walking away from the sport the hardest thing you think you've had to do in your career? How long did you know that it should be Danny Busman Kelly to take over?
And we went hard, and now it's Danny's turn.
Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Centris Federal Credit Union. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. We are joined now by our Thursday friend, Michael Bruntz, Husker 24/7.
Our Thursday friend.
What's up, Bruntsy?
Hello, Thursday friend.
Hello, Thursday friends. What's going on?
I mean, we could be friends other days too, but
I kind of like that. Bruntz, I'm just going to ask you. I mean, you can talk me off this ledge, and it's Omaha, so I love Omaha, so I wasn't terribly upset about the outcome. I was cheering for a good outcome. But Ravi asked me a question in the first segment. I said, baseball is tricky because you can get hot, but typically your staff doesn't all of a sudden become somebody they haven't. Is this baseball team who they're going to be right now, Bruntz? Are you ready to say that halfway through the season?
Yeah, I mean it's you got a half a season of data to go off of.
Did we ever agree on that? We argued about that once.
It's like David Fisdale. Take
Is
that
it
for data.
Is it
That's the
data
least.
or is it data
the
or
least
data?
surprising thing you guys have argued about that.
I know, right? I know. Sorry.
I don't have strong feelings about data and data. I do have strong feelings about GIF or GIF.
All right, let's go with whatever you want to say, Bruntz.
I once listened to two people I was traveling with argue for over an hour about whether the last stop of a bus stop counts as a stop. So it was like we got 12. I wasn't involved. I was beyond annoyed. So it was like, do we have 12 stops or 13?
An hour?
At least.
I feel a lot better about arguing about Patino and RJ Lewis for 2 days. I feel vindicated.
So here's your homework: is to consider whether or not the last stop of a train or bus constitutes a stop. I am of the school that it does because the bus is stopping. But
okay,
I
so
digress.
Not to derail this thing, but
no pun intended.
What's the argument that it doesn't count as a stop? Since you are physically stopped.
And how come you're not bus
My eyes just
rolling
glazed
who you
over,
were
and I
arguing with? It has to be a couple of your colleagues.
This is Schaefer and Christopherson.
It's got to be.
No, this is way before 24/7 was even a thing. So that's anyways. You were asking about Nebraska baseball, and
are you ready to rest in it, even though you know this is baseball?
Well, I mean, it's an inconsistent team, and that's kind of the kind of where they're at. And I mean, you've got wins over Vanderbilt. You won a series over the number 5 team in the country, and then you think maybe you have a chance to gain some momentum and come out and just look completely inept on the mound. So, I mean, the pitching has kind of been what it is. I mean, I think the weekends you feel okay with Walsh, and even when the bats were struggling and that was getting the bulk of the attention. I mean, the bullpen has not been great. The strikeout numbers and the strikeout to walk numbers from last year have been down. That's not new, but it gets magnified in the midweeks when I don't know at what level of baseball. I mean, I don't even know at Little League that you can expect to walk as many guys and hit as many guys as Nebraska has in the last 48 hours.
Yeah, and midweek had been good, Bruntz.
I know.
Okay, State.
Well, and then I guess are we reverting back to where the midweeks are a struggle and then the weekends look good? I mean, I think that's it's just an inconsistent team right now. And I mean, the one thing you can say is whatever took place between getting back from California and going to Manhattan seems to have helped the offense quite a bit because you're getting guys hitting. I mean, they beat some really good arms against Oregon State last weekend. And, they had 16 hits last night. You didn't get the hits late when you needed them, but I mean, it's hard to put those two losses at the feet of the offense, given how, I mean, against Creighton, you have your starting pitcher go a third of an inning. Like it's tough. And you kind of saw the kind of rock tumbling down the hill. I mean, when you have a guy on Tuesday that goes a third of an inning, it forces everybody else to have to pitch earlier than what you had planned. And then when you have two midweeks like Nebraska did this week, you got to the end of that game against Omaha and you're kind of looking at the roster like, okay, like who's left? Like who can get to the ninth inning? I mean, you had Ty Horn essentially throwing his bullpen in the last inning. You had Unger making his debut. Like Aiden Wyatt, I can't remember if he'd pitched previously, but I mean, that kind of tells you the residual effects of not getting it done earlier in the week. So to answer your question, I think I am comfortable saying that this is just an inconsistent team. I mean, it would not shock me at all if they go out and like sweep Rutgers this weekend. Like that's just kind of where they're at right now.
Bruntz, do you find it encouraging or discouraging that we've seen sort of both phases of the game look good at different points of the season, but they can't ever seem to line up to be good at the same time? Like, is that a positive or negative in your mind? Because it speaks to the inconsistency, but it also sort of is more infuriating that it almost is flip-flopped.
Yeah, no, it is infuriating. And I think it kind of, I mean, has the pitching been really good this year? Like, I'm trying to think.
I do think Walsh has pitched better than 3 and 4, but Horn has not pitched better than 0 and 4.
No.
Although in Louisiana, I thought Horn had earned better.
That's been the one game that you would point to, I think, with him, where it's like he should have won that game, given a normal offensive performance. So I don't know. I mean, it's a team right now that if you're a coach and you're trying to push buttons, I don't know what the button is to push now. Like after that Creighton game, they had a really long meeting in the dugout. I mean, like, they didn't even go out into the outfield to talk post game, and it was a pointed conversation. And didn't really do much last night after that one. I mean, I think it's kind of to the point now where like whatever is going to happen, you got to kind of. It needs to kind of come from the team, I think, in some aspects. I mean, you need this veteran leadership that you thought you had to show up. And if you look at the roster, I mean, there are not a lot of guys that I would say are like mentality type guys who are kind of the for lack of a better word, the kind of red ass guys that are just going to get after guys and play hard. And I think that's been one thing that, that they've had to kind of figure out is who's the voice right now that you can kind of go to. Cause even, last year they had that, I think, in some of their better teams recently, they've had that. And I just don't know that, that there's kind of that leadership right now to kind of put their arms around guys or just really get after them and kind of, demand a higher level of play.
So, Bruntz, one thing that I've seen asked a bunch over the last 24 to 48 hours is kind of what's wrong with the pitchers, most specifically to do with all the walks that you talked about. As you look at this team, the way it's constructed and the coaching staff, do you tend to put that on, hey, there's something going on between the ears that maybe Rob Childress needs to address? It's just the arms, they're not talented enough to execute the way they need them to, like just a weird, fluky series of events. Like, where do you put what we've seen with the walks and kind of all of that with the pitching staff?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think there's more depth on this staff this year. They've got a lot of guys that throw really hard. I think control might be, given up a little bit for some of that velocity. I mean, even Yasa, I mean, his numbers this year have not been all that different from where he was last summer.
I thought we
And,
would see him against Creighton to start that one.
well, I think you would have had he not thrown against Oregon State. And I think, I do think that there's probably some arms that are still developing. I mean, some of those, Coates is still a sophomore. Yasa, was not a guy that they were going to put on the mound last year because of the inconsistencies in his development as a pitcher. For guys like White and Unger, I mean, you're putting them out there in a pretty tough spot, to make their debuts. But, I think part of it's, competitiveness. Part of it's just throwing strike one. I mean, the number of times that Nebraska's pitched from behind or, has not been able to close the door on an inning. I mean, the 2-out hitting and inability to get off the field for Nebraska's pitchers. I mean, that was basically the story of the first half of the season was, the offense was not hitting well with 2 outs, and, teams playing Nebraska seemed to do it whenever they wanted. So I don't know. I think it's probably mental a little bit. I mean, as much as hitting's probably contagious, I think sometimes when you're not able to throw the ball over the plate, that kind of seeps in too. But they got to figure out who they can trust right now to throw strikes, because it's, aside from Will Walsh, there's not a lot of guys that are consistent right now in that aspect.
Bruntz, as we move on here from baseball, and I wanted to kind of get your thoughts on some of the press availability earlier in the week from the football staff. As you hear, I'm fascinated by sort of this dynamic between Phil Snow and John Butler and the way that John Butler talked about that on Tuesday. Did you have any major takeaways from the way that he described that relationship?
Not really. I mean, I think they have a decent idea over there of kind of how they're actually going to do things and kind of what Phil Snow's role is going to be. I think John Butler sees him as a resource. I think that with the coming 105 roster cuts, I think there's a ton of value in somebody like Phil Snow to get younger players up to the level of, contributing early. And I think that's what his role is going to be. I mean, for, just lack of a better way of breaking it down, in some ways, he's almost kind of like the JV coach, and kind of working with young guys and also having the ability to walk around, help the special teams, different areas. So, John Butler was around last year when Phil Snow popped in November and was kind of taking a look under the hood with how things were going. So I think they can work fine together. And I see this some places and on our message board sometimes, is he looking over his shoulder? Like, I don't get the sense that Phil Snow at this point in his career is looking to be a coordinator or take on some kind of huge role. Like, I think if anything, like the expanded staffs like lined up perfectly timing wise for a guy like Phil Snow to come back, kind of do what he wants to do and not have the pressure of having to recruit and everything else that comes with being a coordinator. So I think it has the potential to work really well. And when you get into like game planning, I mean, it's pretty darn valuable to have somebody with that kind of experience weighing in on the conversation, I think, as long as, somebody in that coordinator chair has the confidence to not feel threatened. And I don't get the sense that John Butler's lacking confidence.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because I kind of agree with you just watching from afar, where Coach Butler is secure in what he does. And there's this like admiration for Snow's talents because he's such a good technician and a teacher. I think it seems like he welcomes the fact that Snow can work with these young guys and teach technique and fundamentals. And then you get them back in these reps and it's like, shoot, man, give this guy long enough. These young guys can run down the old guys. Like, I think they like that yin and yang from a teaching standpoint, where Butler can be the philosoph and Snow can be the detail changeup guy.
Yeah. John Butler's kind of like that mix of philosoph and energy.
And he's not, I like him quite a bit.
you don't need to search for him at practice. I appreciate that.
Isn't the I agree. The amount of teaching and direction and hands-on stuff between him and Terry, and you got Coach Rule doing his thing. You know, Coach Holger. Like, there is a ton of instruction real time.
It's funny, like the narrative around the first Rule staff was like how inexperienced and young they were. And you look at the staff now, I mean, just on defense, you've got Phil Snow over there kind of being a walk-around guy, John Butler, who's done, been in the NFL, he's coached at the college level a lot. Addison Williams, who was a defensive coordinator at UCF, I mean, he's got coordinator experience there. Rob Dvorak's been around a little bit. Terry Braden's been with the Chiefs for a number of years. Like, it's going to be interesting to kind of see how they bring all that together, because I'm sure there's guys that have a lot of opinions. I'm sure that I know there's a pretty diverse amount of experience there. So kind of how that soup gets made is going to be interesting when they get on the field in the fall. But I do think, especially with Matt Rule saying in the past that they kind of view almost like a roster split where you've got like your first 50, 53 or so, and you're, for lack of a better phrase, or your practice squad. I mean, I think the teams that figure out how to get that back 53 up to speed quicker, I think are going to have a lot of success. So I think there's a ton of value in a guy like Phil Snow making that happen, being able to work with those guys. I mean, during the open availability, I mean, it was every early enrollee defensive player, every redshirt freshman defensive player was over there working with Phil Snow on technique. So I think there's a lot of value there.
Bruntz, is there an assistant that you're like chomping at the bit to hear from, either for the first time this spring or again this spring?
Yeah, I think Addison is the one. We don't get him all spring, do we? Because I think Butler's back up on the 17th.
I don't know. I need to look at my calendar. I don't have my appointments in front of me here. I don't know if I've talked myself into this, but the linebacker group intrigues me and how that's going to play out. I think getting Wright back for a seventh season, I think was really big with that group. I think you've got Shavers, you've got you've got a few veteran guys there. You also have kind of the next group of guys that have been around for a long time but haven't really done much at the linebacker spot. Then you've got the young guys behind them. I mean, I'm curious to hear from Rob Dvorak about how that's going to play out. I think certainly the defensive line deserves a lot of attention, but that second level intrigues me with how that group kind of is going to come together. So I guess Dvorak, is that a off the wall answer?
No, that's a good one. So you're the only person in 3 weeks that's
brought him up.
When I said Bruntz, the question that I was asking guys is, hey, what position group would you spend the most time with if you wanted to learn and cover the content for the rest of the spring? And it's the only group you could go with. And I said I would take the second level guys. And I get it. The D line's interesting. O line's interesting. There's plenty of DBs to talk about. Wide receivers is interesting. But I'm with you. I think the second level is going to be crucial to how this team, their ceiling defensively. I think a lot of it has to do with the guys at the second level. And I have a huge affinity for Dvorak. So it just kind of fits my eye.
Well, I don't know that we talk enough about like the work that they've done in developing linebackers that were kind of not in the picture, right? Like you went that first year where Bayer wasn't even on the radar, and he's, all of a sudden, a very coveted linebacker 2 years later in the portal. John Bullock's a walk-on safety, not even really in the plans, and he becomes a really key 2-year starter. I'm eager to see if there's kind of that next person that they add to the mix there to bring along. I mean, I think there's candidates, but how they are able to get to 3 or 4 guys in the rotation in that middle line or that inside linebacker group, I think is going to be probably maybe under the radar storyline going into the fall, because I think they can get by with 3, but if you get to 4 and 4 guys that you can truly rely on, I mean, I think the defense would be much better for it.
Bruntz, is there a position group that you are comfortable giving benefit of the doubt to yet?
I am.
With guys that hey, there's some unknowns, because you maybe sort of think of this with linebacker, right? Because I don't think any of us came in a couple years ago being like, oh man, John Bullock, that's our dude, or you know what I mean? So I'm just curious if there's a group that you're like, I know you like John Bullock. I'll give you credit. I don't think there's anybody else, or I'm curious if there's any other group, or maybe even that group, that you're like, yeah, I think they're just going to be fine because I trust the guy running the room.
Well, I think defensive back, they'll be okay because just the volume of guys there. There's going to be 5 guys that are going to come out of that mix, and I think you feel pretty good about. I think you feel good about the young guys in that group too. And I think we were talking about this on our podcast yesterday. I don't know that there's, I think we kind of get maybe a little lazy and say okay, well, they've got veterans at this group, so the veterans are going to be the guys in the fall. And I don't know that that's necessarily the case there. But I think with that group, when you've got a dedicated position coach, you've got a coordinator that's spending a lot of time with that group as well. And, I think they're going to be okay on the back end of that defense. I mean, I think they'll be fine. So I will give the benefit of the doubt to the defensive backs at this point. I obviously did not. I'm curious to know what you guys think, because
I have one.
I got one.
Go ahead.
You want to count to 3?
Yeah.
Hey, Bruntz, we're kids. Can you tell
me
about the job? You ready?
1, 2, 3.
Tight ends.
Line.
I'm going with tight ends, Bruntz. They get the benefit of the doubt for me.
Okay.
Everybody has gotten better on Sat's watch, and I think it's a good group. He's got a good mix of old heads and a couple of newbies that he's got to work in. I'm going to give the tight ends the benefit of the doubt. Borkature got better. Lindenmeyer certainly got better. I'm going with tight ends.
That's a good one.
And nobody's going to think of them either, so that's full.
That's why you like.
That's why I like him. You know me, man. Gilligan.
Offensive line, huh, Ravi?
Yes, so this goes back a couple years now.
Sneaky good one.
Where, he took the same guys last year, a lot of the same guys last year under Frost, first year under Rule. They looked dramatically different. They lost at one point 3 offensive line starters during the season that first year with Rule, and it didn't really seem to matter. He had guys ready to play and ready to go. He had to put in Gunnar Gatula before they wanted to, and before they really thought he was physically going to be ready, and he was able to fill that gap and that hole. And I like the types of bodies he started to accumulate in that room. Outside of maybe running back, he's had, I think, the most difficult time in terms of dealing with consistent injuries on that offensive line, or guys being unavailable, like with Mazuka last year, who was in and out and in and out. I think he's done a really, really good job, and there's not really a noticeable drop-off when he has to put different guys in there.
He probably is going to get a lot more help from the play calling, too, I think. That's probably
be more in sync.
Something I'm intrigued by going forward.
So,
good answers. All good answers, guys. There's no wrong answer in spring ball.
Good job by us. I'm proud of us.
Hey, let me get you out on this, Bruntz, just while we're on offensive line, because I kind of like that answer too. I do think guys get better on Coach Raiola's watch. How many guys, let's say, I'm not even going to count Teddy and Turner. Does it seem like, what's a number of guys that you've either seen play or you think can play that this offensive line would be able to trot out there? I have one in my head, not counting Turner and Teddy. I have one in my head, and it seems high.
Is my total number is 10 minus 2, which is 8? Is that a
good? I feel
number?
Safe because I said 7.
Yeah.
Doesn't that 7 seem super safe?
Yeah, I mean they've got a lot of guys, and they've got a lot of guys that have been around. I think there's a pool of guys that are going to be interesting. And is Sledge in that group for you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Ravi got to 10.
I think I'm at 10.
So actually 12?
Yeah.
Not counting Teddy and Turner?
Yeah, I think I'm at 10. Now I'm projecting on a couple, but
who?
Like
Bricks?
Tamua
Oh, I didn't count him.
and Bricks.
Didn't count him.
So I'm projecting on a couple. But
Okay.
8 I feel good about. And then 8 that I feel good about that I've seen something from. 10 that I feel good about, and then 12 if you count the other two guys.
I am gonna Tamu. He looks fantastic, and he seems confident.
Yeah.
He looks good. You know what? I'm not mad over that. I just haven't seen him play, so I can't.
Right. Like I said, I'm projecting on a couple, but I think I would have been projecting last year if I said I thought Gunnar Gatula could play too, right? So I think there's probably a couple guys we haven't seen yet that are ready to play.
Yeah, you got Maciejczak, Latovsky, Justin Evans, Gatula, Pritchett, Rocco, Justin Evans. And
Did you say Lutovsky?
I did. And that's a safe 7.
Yeah, 7 easy without projecting at all. And you didn't say
So you got 9 with your other guys.
And Sledge makes 8.
Sledge makes 8. You got 10 with the two guys I said, and then
12
if you add in guys that are injury question marks.
So here's the thing: before I take the full-fledged Kool-Aid plunge, I need somebody to.
You stirring it up.
Stirring it up.
I need somebody to tell me that I'm not reaching.
I don't think you are. I'm reaching a little.
It seems like a high number.
I think 8 is safe. I think 8 is a safe number. I really do.
So so neither one of you guys are going to talk me off of that.
Well, I came up with a bigger number,
All right,
so
well,
I can't talk
listen,
you off
that
of
means
it.
you're invited to the Kool-Aid party. That means you're invited to the Kool-Aid party. Or to Team Kool-Aid.
Is the Kool-Aid party is that like the pregame to the cookout, or
you got to be careful.
You know I got to have a cookout.
You got to be careful getting a bunch of people together and drinking Kool-Aid. You got to be careful of that.
That's our guy, Michael Bruntz, Husker 24/7. Bruntz, we appreciate it as always. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks,
you guys. Yep, bye.
Jessica Coody from Husker Sports Network coming up next here on Hurrdat Sports Live.
Omaha gets the upset win in Omaha, Tal Anderson Field, as it's the Mavericks winning 11-9, and Drew Borner hanging out with us. First and foremost, what a bomb and what a game. This felt like a marathon, but you had the sprint to the finish there, had the 2-run homer in the 7th. Walk me through that moment. You walk up to the plate, you felt confident going in?
Yeah, I felt confident. It was just a long game, and got to a 2-0 count there in the 7th, and got a good pitch to hit.
And you had to get comfortable with many different pitchers that you had to face today. What was that challenge for you and your teammates? You put up 11 runs, but you had many arms to go through.
I mean, they got some good arms, and they're some good pitchers. And he was a good pitcher. That kid was a good pitcher in high school, and we battled. We battled at the plate today.
How about this win for this team? You guys are starting to get back on a roll. And 8 days ago, you were run ruled by Creighton right here. What's been the turning point?
We kind of just got together as a team. We had some conversations and got our first walk-off win the other day on Friday, and that kind of got us going, and now we're hoping to roll a little bit.
Then how do you take this and keep rolling, propel it even further?
Just one pitch at a time.
All right, appreciate your time. Congrats on the win.
Thank you.
Hey, everybody, it's Ravi Lulla from Hurrdat Sports here, and I'm reminding you to get down to Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill because Menu Madness Round 3 has already started. If you haven't been down here yet, make sure you get down and cast your vote because you can win $100 or $50 gift cards here from Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. So make sure you get down here, watch your teams, and vote to win.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
We're back here on Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. We are joined now by Jessica Coody from the Huskers Radio Network. Jess, how are you this morning? Oh, I think we're on mute.
You got to unmute. Is that OKC? I think you're muted, Jess. Do we have her?
Shane,
Nope.
is this enough?
Nope, there
we
she
go.
is.
There we
There
go.
you go. See, it's usually me screwing up. That's what you get. Oh, now she's back muted.
Uh-oh. Shane, is this us?
No, we just heard her.
There
She
we
said-
go. There we go. You got me?
Yeah.
No, wait a minute. So what happened? Because I want to be able to give you a hard time.
Okay. No, listen, I actually can follow directions and know technology. I had my headset on. I'm just not familiar with StreamYard. So I went into the settings and put in my headset mic, but you still weren't hearing me. So then I just unplugged the headset. So
Okay,
and then
so
I
what
muted
is it?
myself.
Okay, so what is it that we use?
StreamYard.
Well,
No,
you're on
me and
StreamYard.
Me and see, just don't ride with this guy. We're on the same team. Don't be a Ravi fan. What do you and I use when you send me the links?
Oh, for Huskers Radio, we have a thing called AirLink.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You think I would know? I don't.
So we're rocking
I have to send it to him every time. He doesn't just save it. And I have to email it to him to his Gmail. I just hit. Luckily, it's right at the top of I just hit resend every time. So I found a better system because I know he's going to ask me for it, even though it's been the same thing for 4 years now.
It's incredible. I admitted last week, I said, hey, the smarter, younger, hip people, that's how they send the links. I'm old and not very good with technology, so I prefer email. Because you're a texter. You'll text me the link. Most people that are as good with that stuff as you guys are use text.
You'd think you could just copy the link and then email it to yourself if that's what you wanted. But no, I've got to text it and email it, but that's all right.
Okay.
Whatever we got to do for DB to get him on the air, we make it work.
I'm going to go ahead and take this down right now. We're good there.
So, Jess, I see we're rocking the OKC Thunder shirt today. How you feeling about your squad? They're they low key could win 60 games, or 70 games. They
got a 14-game lead. Western Conference. I mean,
how you feeling about
and SGA? I'm feeling pretty good this year.
How you feeling about the double bigs lineup with Chet and Isaiah?
It would be cool to see them play Cleveland.
They're killing it.
Yeah, I mean, they've got a lot of pieces. Sam Presti, there's a while there where what are you doing? But then he managed to stockpile those draft picks. In 2018, we're sitting here, 2017, you're what are you doing? These picks we're not even going to see come to fruition for 25 years. And then 10 years later, here we are. He's managed to do it again. So
And they're built for the long haul too.
How about, yes, exactly. Just so strategic about it. How about, for people saying, the small markets, how about Cleveland and Oklahoma City leading the way with the small market teams this year?
Yeah, I hate to even remotely be around you when you're cheering for one of your teams, but I do like OKC, so I'm not mad at you. But this was on the heels. I put you up here with Dannon because last week, I thought that was a fantastic interview, and you've been around some really good ADs, in particular one down there in Norman. Do you see any similarities in terms of their vision or their ability to kind of pivot and stay in the game where you're I think Nebraska's in pretty good hands?
No, I think they've been really different, but I do have a lot of confidence in Troy Dannon. It's fascinating too. I mean, he's open for me asking a lot of the questions. They'll give you some, Keith Mann, I'll give you some things that, hey, Troy wants to hit on some of this, but I'll throw him some curveballs that, just going off of something that he said in one of the questions and hit a little bit more. And he's always open to answering that. It's also fascinating picking his brain, in commercial breaks or before it begins. He's just got such a good pulse. I mean, if it doesn't come across when you hear him do those interviews, hearing him talk outside of that, I mean, he's in the right rooms and he's talking to the right people and he just understands thinking forward instead of, okay, well, this is not the way we want it to go. Well, it's going this way. So how can we best position Nebraska to be ready and be in the right places for that? So, I think I have a lot of confidence in that and just, again, the vision that he sees for what needs to happen. And It's really cool to sit there and talk with him even off the air and hear him answer some of the questions that look, there's a lot of questions right now and where college sports are and where they're going. And I mean, I tell him this, I feel like every time I talk to him, but I'm glad it's you and not me, because I don't know how he keeps up with it. But, you know, I know he's got a lot of good people, a lot of places that help him navigate it, but he's, I got a lot of faith and confidence in Nebraska moving forward in this ever-changing landscape of college sports.
Do you think Troy Dannon kind of sneaks up on some people sometimes in terms of his leadership ability, because he comes off pretty unassuming, almost I used the term folksy the other day, like he just seems so good-natured, but as you said, it seems like he has a really good pulse on the state of college athletics and where Nebraska needs to be positioned. It kind of feels like he sneaks up on you a little bit.
Yeah, and I think, you know, some ladies might get a little micromanagey in terms of how they want to handle coaches and how their thought process on how programs should be navigated. And I think he's pretty good about, he said it since he got here, how much he believes and how good the coaching staff is, from Mark Manning in wrestling, Rhonda Revelle in softball, you know, just from top to bottom. The staff of coaches that he works with here. And so I think he is really good about more so how can I help and what do you need me to do to help you get to where you need to be, as opposed to trying to give his input all the time. And I think there's a big difference in that in leaders and ADs now in age. I think there are some ADs that get in the room and say, well, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Well, a lot of the ADs aren't there in the day-to-day battles and aren't on the recruiting trails, and they might know about it, but they're not in it, you know? And so I think he just does such a great job of not micromanaging, but making sure he's involved in what can we do to get better. And, you know, I love what he had said about how he sees all the mentions on social media about fire this person. Well, I mean, I think he's got a pretty good pulse on that as well, on where he, you know, having these conversations. He has constant conversations with these coaches. And if he believes they've got a good plan moving forward, then it doesn't necessarily, I think he weighs in that they're working on to improve in the future, the plans in place to build off of if it's not a year that you necessarily wanted or hoped or maybe underachieved a little bit. Okay, well, what's your plan moving forward? I think he can look at that as much as he does, you know, the immediate results and be able to be successful moving forward or not.
Hey, we were having a conversation a few minutes ago with Bruntz from 24/7, and I know you can amazingly get into the weeds with players and personnel just because of your relationship with those guys. So I won't put you on the spot, but was I close? Ravi says 10. I said 7. How many guys do you feel good about that could play along that notorious position called the offensive line?
I think because you're talking about some players have unfortunately not been able to stay healthy. So I think 7 is a good number, especially maybe right now. My only thing is, what's the depth at tackle? You know, I think you've got the depth at guard and center, but where's the depth at tackle? You know, and so yes, you have 7 players, but you might
Jess,
only have
glad I
2
thought of that, Jess. Thank you. Glad I thought of that. Wait, I didn't.
What?
You took it one step further than I did. I didn't really think about the tackle spot like that.
Well, I think, yes, you've got 7 guys that you maybe feel good about, but you might only have 2 tackles, you know, which is a little concerning because we've seen every single year that you have to have a backup tackle.
Yeah.
Sometimes 2 backup tackles. So I think that's maybe where the depth, I think they feel really good about where that depth is building. I think maybe you still need a couple more bodies at the tackle spot to feel really good about the depth.
You know who I forget about sometimes, especially now that he's healthy, but I do remember him being kind of like on the player panel, and he loves Nebraska, even though he hasn't been here that long. I forget about Canucks sometimes, and it's good to see him kind of back healthy-ish.
Well, and I think that's where we might have depth at tackle. I don't know if we've seen it just yet. You know, because those guys have been so young and green. I've said this multiple times over the last few months, but I remember talking with Coach Raiola. It was towards the end of the season last year on the coaches show, and you could tell he was really, really pumped about that young group. That it just takes time to develop those young offensive linemen. They don't come in ready to play most of the time, and so I think some of those guys are starting to really, starting to peak, starting to get stronger, bigger, where they can actually make a difference, make an impact on that offensive line, especially in the Big Ten. And then I heard, Dana Holgorsen say at the bowl game how unsolicited he brought up Coach Raiola and the young group of offensive linemen that he saw specifically during those bowl practices really come along. So I think you've got some young guys. I just don't think we necessarily have not seen it as much yet because we haven't seen it in games yet, but those guys get to see it in practice all the time. So yeah, I think there's a lot of those young guys that you in signing day a couple years ago, you're like, okay, where are they going to be? I think we're starting to maybe get to that point now where we're going to start seeing those guys emerge and actually compete for some of that playing time.
Jess, is there a position group that you're just the most intrigued by?
I know who some of your favorites are.
Well,
you're a little biased with the running backs, but maybe they don't intrigue you.
Well, no, I've always loved the defensive line group, and I was was a big fan of Coach Knighton, but I am a big fan of Coach Braden. They might just step right in and carry on. I mean, just reload, right? I'm really big fan of that group. Riley Van Poppel's awesome. Cam Linhart, just that overall group. That even though some of those guys are leaving and have left, they're reloading with some guys that have been around and have been able to get to know a little bit, and you love their personalities, love chatting with them. So I'm still a big fan of the defensive line, and Coach Braden's awesome. He's still going to be fun to listen into. There's no doubt about it. I've said it all for the last couple of years. My favorite group to listen into on the sideline was the defensive line. I think that would probably be up there. I also think Coach Schwartz in the wide receiver room is going to be fun to listen into, hearing him chat with his guys. I probably will say, I heard you guys talking earlier about some of the position groups. I'm excited to see the wide receivers. I think they've got some guys in there that are actually going to be with Coach Holgorsen and this offense. People want to say it's the air raid. It's not the air raid, but there's no doubt he's going to throw the football, especially with Dylan. So I can't wait to see how that shakes out, who's going to emerge as being with Coach Holgorsen, as we've seen with his offenses from everywhere he's been. A lot of times there's 3 wide receivers that rack up a lot of stats. So I am intrigued to see which maybe 3 guys really emerge and carry the load. But I think they've got a lot of them in there and a lot of talent that they have to work with.
I guess I'm relieved to hear you talk about Terry like that, because I think if you remember, you and I kind of learned at the same time about Coach Knighton, and we went from joy to tears to what are we going to do? And it's real time because we're having a show. And I know like a lot of your good stuff comes from when you're in those big groups with the O-line and the D-line. So I know that I could at least kind of still be somewhat good at my job if you're invested in the D-line still, where I can get some tidbits. He does love to teach, and I know you probably love that.
Yeah, he just is so joyful. I don't know. It's like he's so happy, and you could tell he's really happy to be here. And I ran into him the other day after practice, and he's just I don't know. He's a light, and so when I talked to Ty Robinson at Pro Day, he said that he goes, he's got a lot of personalities, but I think he's going to be equipped to handle them in that room. It's a fun room, and I think that's what Coach Knighton did so well, is he let them be them. And he heard that over and over again with those guys. He let them be them. There's a bunch of different guys from different walks of life, and they play differently. But, what the beautiful thing is getting them to come together despite their differences. And I think Coach Braden is along those same lines. He gets to know them, and he wants them to be them. And he wants them to, again, just the what I've talked to him and a little bit of that I've seen. I think he's going to be along those same lines of getting the best out of his players. And you can tell he's For a guy coming from the NFL to get here, there's no denying it was absolutely genuine how excited he is about the group that he's getting to work with and getting to know. And, he's really excited about the opportunity to get back into college and work with some of these guys. So I think it's going to be a fun group to listen in on. And, I think Coach Butler's going to be one that's, Coach White didn't always come and talk to the position groups as much. It just kind of maybe if things were not going as well, or he was not as involved. I think Coach Butler will be more so probably, and I could hear him. His voice carries. So some of those guys I can't always hear, but I could hear Coach Butler. So I'll be able to listen in on some of the input that he has. I think he's going to be involved. I think it's going to be a group effort. I love what he said in the presser the other day. I think he's one that's going to be open to hearing suggestions, and he knows he's got a lot of great coaches on his staff. That I think he's going to be open to hearing some of the input and them coming together as a team, defensive staff, as opposed to like, this is my way, I'm doing it my way, this is how I want to do it. And obviously he and Coach Dvorak have a great relationship. It was those two guys basically coaching in the bowl game because it was there is other defensive, there was other guys that were there, but they just didn't know as much. They hadn't been embedded. They helped where they could, but it was basically Rob Dvorak and John Butler running that show. So I think they got really close and really were able to develop, some trust and chemistry there. And so, there's enough of guys coming back, but then also you mix in some new ideas and opinions, and I'm sure there's a lot of it, but I think Coach Butler will be really good about navigating what works, what doesn't work, because I think and I've heard players is just how brilliant he is and how he understands the game and what personnel works. And I think he's got some ideas for some of the guys that maybe can play multiple places on the defense. And so, I think there's a lot of guys on the sideline. I think I'm really excited to be able to hear from.
All right, I'm going to get you out of here on this because having worked with you for so long now, your preparation is incredible, whether it's game notes or potential storylines or what you may want to feature, to having 18 batteries extra. Like, how nervous are you, be honest, for how fluid the 26th could be?
Oh, well, luckily I'm not as structured. Luckily I can roll with it. I think it's going to be a little bit, fly by the seat of our pants. We'll make it work. I mean, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I know that a lot of people are disappointed about the spring game, but I've been one where throughout the course of the years when I was at Oklahoma, they didn't have enough players to really have an actual game because they didn't have the roster size. And so it was always done a little bit differently there too. But you don't always see much, and there's not really tackling on the quarterback, and a lot of the older guys don't play much. You're not going to see much of the plays and what it's actually going to be. It's very vanilla. So I'm excited about the mix-up. I think we're going to see some fun. These guys are competitive, so they're going to compete on the 7-on-7s, the 1-on-1s. There's a lot of fun events that are going to happen along the way for the whole team score. It's going to be a fun day. And so I'm actually excited about the change-up. We're going to roll with it. We'll see what we can do. It might be a little chaotic, but we'll make the most of it. I think it's gonna be fun. We're gonna be able to talk to a lot of different guys and get involved in the broadcast. Apparently
Yeah, I can't wait to be told what to do. That's gonna be awesome.
Hey, you're pretty good at that. Once we get there, you follow directions pretty well. I mean, it can be complicated getting to the point of getting on the air, but once you're on the air, you're pretty good at following instructions.
Wow.
But I think it's going to be fun. And if you play in that, in the alumni or whatever, the Hall of Fame All-Stars game, which I'm very intrigued to see if you got anything left in you, the guy that we are hoping to step in to replace you doing the color analysis for that, I think we're going to be all really excited to hear from.
Oh, I can't stand you.
Jess, appreciate the time. I appreciate the letting DB catch some strays over there. And I'm excited to watch your Thunder in the NBA playoffs. We'll talk again soon, okay?
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Jess.
We'll be back to wrap up the show next here on Hurrdat Sports Live.
Omaha gets the upset win in Omaha, Tal Anderson Field, as it's the Mavericks winning 11-9, and Drew Borner hanging out with us. First and foremost, what a bomb and what a game. This felt like a marathon, but you had the sprint to the finish there, had the 2-run homer in the 7th. Walk me through that moment. You walk up to the plate, you felt confident going in?
Yeah, I felt confident. It was just a long game, and got to a 2-0 count there in the 7th, and got a good pitch to hit.
And you had to get comfortable with many different pitchers that you had to face today. What was that challenge for you and your teammates? You put up 11 runs, but you had many arms to go through.
I mean, they got some good arms, and they're some good pitchers. And he was a good pitcher. That kid was a good pitcher in high school, and we battled. We battled at the plate today.
How about this win for this team? You guys are starting to get back on a roll. And 8 days ago, you were run ruled by Creighton right here. What's been the turning point?
We kind of just got together as a team. We had some conversations and got our first walk-off win the other day on Friday, and that kind of got us going, and now we're hoping to roll a little bit.
Then how do you take this and keep rolling, propel it even further?
Just one pitch at a time.
All right, appreciate your time. Congrats on the win.
Thank you.
Hey, everybody, it's Ravi Lulla from Hurrdat Sports here, and I'm reminding you to get down to Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill because Menu Madness Round 3 has already started. If you haven't been down here yet, make sure you get down and cast your vote because you can win $100 or $50 gift cards here from Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. So make sure you get down here, watch your teams, and vote to win.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
We're back here on Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill, and reminding you when you're choosing where to bank, finding a financial institution that takes the time to understand you, your needs, your journey, your goals is important. Whether you're just starting out, looking to buy a new home, in need of an auto loan, or whatever else it is, your needs deserve to be met. And at Centris Federal Credit Union, you'll find the products, services, and most importantly, expertise to support you throughout your financial journey. So no matter what your goals may be, Centris is where you are. Connect with them today at centrisfcu.org, federally insured by NCUA and an equal housing lender. DB?
You're so good at that. I love Centris.
I'm trying to get better, you know?
Shane, you still think Jess should be doing stand-up comedy? I'm glad when you like that people are funny at my expense. That's the greatest. I just want you to know how that makes me feel.
I don't normally laugh during a segment like I did there. I don't normally
she has way more ammo than she even uses to.
I don't normally send text to guests
some
afterwards.
dumb stuff.
I don't normally say thank you to somebody afterwards, but I told her thank you. So,
and it's totally fine.
Yeah,
because she is highly organized.
Yeah, and she helps you out.
Well, 100%.
Yeah.
And so sometimes. And it's not that I'm not, but I'm not as particular.
Sure.
Right. So whether it's the keys to the game or, you know, she'll say, hey, be there at 1:05 or something like that. Right. Not in 10 minutes. Like she'll
be real specific.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the setup in New York was very difficult.
Yeah.
But we got there very early. And so Ben had to rearrange some stuff and we needed some extra stuff from Jessica. She like emptied her backpack and it was like Radio Shack. I was like,
you got the whole electronics store in there?
Everything.
Yeah.
And I was like, I looked at I did just like this.
You looked at your bag.
Look at my backpack.
You're like, I got a magazine in here.
I said, I hope nothing happens. Like I felt inadequate. It was crazy. She sat on the floor like a little kid and just sorted through,
like going through her Legos, like just...
yeah, an earpiece. I'm like, oh, geez.
I'm glad you put her back up on the stage.
Yeah, she's back. I let her come back.
That's how I feel when I travel with like medical supplies. Is I feel like I've got like an entire pharmacy and medical supply store just in my bag.
And we've talked about the 26, and she's like, well, you're just gonna have to roll with it.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
And I'm like, well, can you just roll with it? She's like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna have fun. I'm like, okay.
So I do think that's interesting because I don't know Jess very well. I've only talked to her through here basically. I do get the vibe that because you mentioned she's highly organized.
Yeah.
So I do get the vibe sometimes that she might be one of those people that thinks she rolls with things maybe better than she actually does.
I will say I agree with that, the kind of the duality in her personality.
Like she likes the schedule.
But here's the thing.
Yeah.
Her glass is always half full.
Oh, so she's adaptable.
So she's going to make it work.
Okay.
Always half full. So like that's
fair.
That's like the Offset or Quavo.
Yeah. Because she big Migos guy.
I like Takeoff and Quavo's. There's a song called Hotel Lobby I like a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good song.
I like hotel lobbies.
You're an idiot.
Well, they're fun. You have a nice bar there, sometimes a restaurant.
Yeah.
Meet cool people.
Yeah.
You know.
I didn't realize the lobbies were the hotel bars were a cool place to hang out until I started traveling for basketball.
Yeah.
And everybody goes to the hotel bar, and I'm like,
yeah, you just chill there.
So for me, that's not what I would normally pick to do. I would go to 7-Eleven or Quick Shop or the liquor store.
Get whatever you want.
And I go to my room.
Yeah.
Right.
Because you're antisocial.
No, it's not.
I'm sorry. That's an overstatement.
You guys just, it's just, everybody just has a free for all. It's fine.
No, when Natasha worked at the hotel, I would hang out at the restaurant, like the hotel restaurant and bar a lot because just waiting for her to get off work or whatever. So I'd go get some food, drink, whatever. You run into a ton of people.
Yeah, which is what I don't want to do.
I know. I made a lot of friends though. There was some guy in town from Purdue one time.
Overrated.
We just like started chatting and
I don't do anything on the road.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah, you like order your
outside of dinner. If I go out,
a lot of times you DoorDash.
I normally DoorDash.
Yeah, you usually DoorDash your dinner because I was like, you DoorDash and sushi, really?
Oh, it was fire too.
I don't like sushi once it's like transported.
It's New York. It was easy.
Yeah, it's probably fine. But I'm just saying in general.
Man, I'd knock that off.
After you like take it out of the restaurant, sushi gets a little dicey for me.
It's fine.
I just don't like it as much. I feel like it's not as fresh.
You got bad taste.
Well, maybe. It's hard to say. You got any good or bad picks today?
I got one good one.
What do we got?
We locked up the Brewers yesterday.
I locked up Nebraska.
You said I don't want to lock it up, but I'm telling you, I like it a lot.
Yeah.
And it almost, depending on when you got it, it almost didn't get home.
I know.
Because what did it close at?
It got up to 10.5.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
And statistically, Nebraska had not been good as a.
Yeah, they're bad.
What was it against? What were they? 7
they
or
were
more?
0-4 when they 0-4 straight up. So they had lost the game in their last 4 games where they had been 7-point or more favorites. That's damning.
That is incredible.
That's bad. I'm gonna double check and make sure.
I think that's. Oh yeah, the stat was right.
Yeah, the stat. No, I didn't know if it closed at a different number. The highest I saw was 10.5. It did close at 10.5.
And
it opened at 6.5. So we didn't even see the early.
Yeah, when I told you, I was like 7.5.
7.5.
And I was like, and it just kept going.
It got to 8.5, but before the show was over.
But apparently they were in Ed Cooley's locker room because he didn't know who was playing.
He's like, Malik Mack, and you guys pick 4 more.
How about how you just dapped up the bench before the game started?
He's like, hey, I'm Coach Cooley. Who are you? Coach Cooley, who are you? What's your name? All right, I'm going to call you Sport, your bud, your son. Get in there. You know, like I don't.
Yeah. Got home in extras with the Brewers. How they didn't score before that was almost criminal.
Yeah.
But we're going to go to the Bronx with the D-backs and your New York Yankees. Yes.
DeMarinis' New York Yankees, not mine.
Little Kelly and Carrasco will take the bump for the Yanks. Take the Yanks. Lock it up.
Ooh, who do you like today? Not a lock, but I want your opinion.
Yeah.
Houck versus Morton today, afternoon baseball for the Red Sox and Orioles.
That's going to be a gem.
That's a good matchup.
That's a gem. I'll take. Oh, I don't like it.
You want to take Morton, don't you?
I like Boston.
Okay.
I like Boston.
It's even money, so they're not sure what to do either.
I like Boston there.
All righty.
Go your Red Sox.
That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. We'll be back.
Go someplace else after your morning.
Go Sox. Hey, they won last night. 2-4, baby. We're back. More Hurrdat Sports Live tomorrow.
See you. Have a good day. Love you.